Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. It is the day before Tears of the Kingdom releases. And if that means nothing to you, it's May 11th. It's Thursday. I know that I always remind the chat that we don't talk about breaking news. Why? Because sometimes it can be really distressing. Two, sometimes it can be really distracting. I do tend to go down an ADHD rabbit hole. And then I get comments like, Emily, you put these things in the title, but you never covered the one. And I'm like, I got distracted. There was a rabbit hole. I had to leap down it. But today, I ask you particularly, I know that the Vanderpump Rules reunion trailer is coming out today. The chances that it comes out while I am live streaming are high. Please, for the love of your streamer, please don't spoil the Vanderpump Rules trailer. I want to watch it the second I am done streaming. We're going to talk a little bit about we're going to talk a little bit about Vanderpump Rules in a minute. We have a lot to talk about today. Replay crew, first of all, love you the most. Good to see you. We're going to talk about a conviction that got overturned. We're going to talk about Prince Harry being in trial, and we're going to talk about the discovery disputes going on in Idaho and what we might learn from those. For those of you who watch Vanderpump Rules, why do they have a goat? Why do they have a goat? Why do they have a goat? Why was there a screaming goat on Vanderpump Rules last night? I think they're law nerds. That's what I'm going with. If y'all know why there was a screaming goat on Vanderpump Rules last night, the fact that a screaming goat was on air on Vanderpump Rules last night just made me die laughing last evening after our members only live stream. For all the members, the things we talked about on the live stream are for the members. The public will not know about some of the things we talked about on the live stream until Sunday. So thank you for that. We want to give the members time. For those of you that want to be the first to know what I'm talking about, yes, there is a collab coming up. You just need to be at lawnerdsalert.com or you can be a member because the members have announcements in the members areas this morning. So thank you for that. Donna, I'm sorry. The screaming goat's the only spoiler. That's it. The screaming goat's the only spoiler. It's not a central plot point with everything else going on VPR, I promise. I swear, I want to do like a VPR rewatch and like lawyer argue, point counterpoint to what people are saying. Like I want maybe to give you my lawyer thoughts on some of the things going on and the excuses being made, but maybe we'll do that later. Maybe we'll do that another time. I'll ask if you're interested. I couldn't stop watching Vanderpump Rules. I need to put my my in-ears in as we roll the intro. So today, overturned appeal, Prince Harry trial, Idaho discovery. That probably Emily getting distracted. As you can tell, it's already been a distracting morning. I got way delayed this morning. I apologize for that. I hate running late. It is a nature of time blindness, and B, we've had work going on at the house that is almost done, and that has definitely put me in 20 different directions. It's also the end of the school year. I never want to cancel a stream, but the mods always let you know Emily is running a few minutes late. For those of you that ask why YouTube populates the stream when I'm already live, I don't know, but if you go and watch the replay, you will see it from the moment I start talking, and I don't know how to accommodate that gap for the replay crew and for the live crew. So normally what I say is hello, good morning, what day it is, and what's going on. So don't worry, you haven't missed anything. I have coffee this morning. I have cursey words this morning. We're going to end up talking about media today. The members that were on the stream last night or when they rewatch it, I had a little bit of a rant about media last night as well. We're going to talk about media in a different way today. We're going to be talking about boundaries. Law nerds, you hold your healthy boundaries, and I love you for that. Boundaries are something we learn throughout our life. I've read books on boundaries. I have been in therapy about boundaries. I like talking about boundaries. I think we don't talk about healthy boundaries enough. And I think talking about those healthy boundaries, especially in the realm of Vanderpump Rules, is very interesting. But we're going to be talking about boundaries in the realm of the media and this crazy hacking trial that just started in the UK with Prince Harry. Because at some point, where the fuck are the boundaries? Like, where are the boundaries? And this boundaries, I think, and this I talked about last night a bit too, boundaries come into that line of what's legal, what's illegal, and the legality, morality. Boundaries can fill in some of the legality, morality. And I don't know where those are. And I think we get to start to decide as a society where our boundaries are and be like, hey, you know what? There are things I want to know about the royals, perhaps. Maybe you don't. Maybe you're like, fuck the royals. I don't care. Either way, there are things we want to know about a celebrity, a political leader, a, YouTuber, whatever it is. I was talking about Mr. Beast last night. But at what cost? I mean, if somebody is seen at, say, the Abbey at 1 a.m. dancing with Rachel all by themselves, and somebody in the friend group sees and goes, hey, I saw this last night, I don't have an issue with that. But if the way they saw it or knew that it happened was by hacking into somebody's phone and reading their personal text messages, well, I have an issue with that. If you're in a public space and someone sees you up to no good, they see your car parked outside a house it shouldn't be parked at and are like, hey, I saw this car parked over there. That's different than hacking into people's fucking phones. What the hell? Look, viewing something in public, different than breaking the law to get access to it. Breaking the law to get access to it is not okay. It has been a long time since I've danced at the Abbey, I promise you that. It's been a real long time. Real long time. So, Victoria said boundaries are necessary. Royals are born into their life and have not chosen it the same way celebrities and politicians have chosen that for their life. I would just say some celebrities choose. I think some of the child celebrities like a Drew Barrymore and maybe even a Britney Spears don't really get to make that choice, but that's just a quibble. But yes, it's different. And I still think when people are like, I want to be a YouTuber, that what they don't expect is that major media outlets are going to dox them and put up photos of their homes. Like, that's what I was yelling about with regard to Mr. Beast yesterday, because it's so freaking unhinged for me. Just don't dox people. What's happening? Stop it. Also, I couldn't find the lid to my navy blue coffee mug this morning. So I was frantically digging through this is why my son's like, one comes in, one goes out. I'm like, no, I need a backup. This is why I needed a backup. I was frantically like digging through where I keep my coffee mugs to find the lid for this mug, because I knew that if I tried to drink my coffee out of this coffee mug, the tankard, without a lid, I was going to end up with hot coffee all down my chest, and I couldn't do that. So I think we need to have a conversation again about what's public information, what's publicly accessible, what's seen in the public, and where the boundaries are. I don't love, after the Murdaugh trial, when we saw reports that media was camped outside of like Buster's home with telephoto lenses trying to take pictures through his blinds. At some point, that's too far. That's not in the public view. If your blinds are drawn and you have to use telephoto lenses to try to see through the peaks in the blinds, stop it. Wait till they leave. Photograph them on their steps. I don't even love that, but at least, it's a public space. It can be perceived by anybody driving down the street. It's a bit different. Don't break onto people's property to take photos of them in their homes and their yards. And as technology advances, I think we're going to see more of this. Or maybe it goes the other way. Maybe it goes the other direction, where the media just starts having AI generated images and they're not even real photos anymore. And they're like, we don't need paparazzi hanging at the airport. Let's assume that such and such celebrity is coming through LAX. We can just make an AI image of it. Okay. Let's be like, oh, so-and-so celebrity came through the airport looking like a bag of shit. Here's this. Or so-and-so celebrity came through the airport looking glorious and unbothered. Here's this. I don't know. I don't know what those boundaries are, but I know I'm going to keep asking questions about it. That's what I'm going to keep asking questions about it. And when I am ingesting, I don't want to say ingesting. When I am consuming, I don't want to say that either. When I am partaking in, no, wrong word. I need a better word. When I am reading media or looking at stories, one of the questions that comes up a lot for me now is, but how do they know that? How do they know that? And I want to know how they know that. And it's interesting because social media sites supposedly have hacked materials policies. We've heard lots about that. But when it comes to hacked information from Prince Harry's phone, Prince William's phone, and whoever else's, wasn't that disseminated? I know this was years ago, but wasn't that disseminated? So I now have to ask, scrutinizing, there we go, Irish Rover, that's the right word. When I'm scrutinizing media, I mean, it's funny how we call it consuming media, but when I am looking at media or when I am reading things, it's one of the big questions that comes up for me. How do they know that? How did they get that information? An anonymous source said XYZ. Really? What did they say? And how do they know? How do they know that? And that's one of the things I ask in lawsuits a lot too. How do they know that? How are they assume? Is that an assumption? Is that a conclusion? Did they get this? Is this an email that they have from Discovery? How do you know that? And I don't think that's a controversial question. I don't think it should be. And if it is, it shouldn't be. So I'm going to keep asking those questions. And I encourage, maybe that's the answer for now, encourage you to ask, how do you know that? I saw this happen on Instagram. An account put out this really strange video of Denise Richards, Wild Things, Real Housewives. And she was promoting something that seemed completely unlike her to be promoting. It was something religious, but I don't remember exactly what. It seemed odd. The video was odd. And I asked on the channel, did she post this somewhere or not? Because this looks like AI. This looks like a deep fake. This doesn't look like her. It looks enough like her and it sounds enough like her, but is this even real? And those are the questions that we have to ask more and more and more. Is this even real and how do they know that? And it's weird because it makes me feel like I'm living in some bizarro world in the future where I'm like, is this even real? And then it makes me feel like, am I a weirdo for asking, is this even real? But no, we have to ask. This seems odd to me. Is this real? Yikes, that's where we're at. So kids, parents of kids, if your children are inclined towards curiosity and computers, trying to figure out if something is a deepfake or not is going to be hugely needed in the legal and every other field in the world, including all of the three-letter agencies. So if that's something you want to specialize in, do that. Do that. I did fix the camera. We're going to keep talking about deep fakes and AI for sure. Wait, Denise Richards married to Charlie Sheen? Was married, yes. Formerly married to Charlie Sheen, then on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills briefly, but also in Wild Things, the first movie my husband and I saw on our first date. That tells you everything you probably need to know. So we're going to talk about this soon. We're going to talk about this shortly. Thank you, Maple, in the chat for giving the rundown background. Deepfakes are a problem. What about the TMZ special on Britney? I haven't seen a TMZ special on Britney. Is there one? People are already making holograms of people. Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. Was it Tupac that performed Coachella as a hologram? And didn't Kanye buy a hologram of Kim Kardashian's father for her birthday? Like, what? So yes, holograms exist. And this gets into like licensing rights as well. I'm going to try not to nerd so much. Prince 2, that's right, Prince 2. I'm going to try not to nerd too much because we do have a bunch of topics to get to. But read Ready Player One and Two. That's my first suggestion, because it's interesting to watch within Ready Player One and Two these types of contemplations going on throughout those books. I find it fascinating. And every now and then I'll see someone in media talking about something. I'm like, oh, you haven't read Ready Player One yet. You don't know the Oasis yet, because I'm fascinated by those conversations need to happen. What happens when people find the internet world more appealing than the real world? Those are questions for another day. But I've distracted myself. Oh, licensing rights. When celebrities make movies now, are they signing away the rights to their voice, image, and likeness so that it can be recreated? We've seen this in particularly the Star Wars franchise. That's the one I'm most familiar with, where they have used not AI per se, but they have used CGI to regenerate actors and actresses that are no longer with us, and to age progress people forward or backward. And so now it's, do you even need the actual actor to do the thing if you can just CGI it and then deep fake their voice? And the Hunger Games, that's right. Can you just deep fake their voice? And Paul Walker, I forgot about that. So, yes, Kieran, Carrie Ann, I'm on the same page with you. Read Ready Player One and Two. Audible counts. It's read by Will Wheaton. My biggest beef with the way he reads it is he pronounces IRL as Earl, but I'm not one to be picky about mispronunciations. I'm just like, but it's an acronym. Don't you just say the letters? So, did they with Val Kilmer's voice in Maverick? That I did not know. So, it's just, you guys know all the tea. Thank you for the conversation about who else they've hologrammed and CGI'd. But those rights have to be signed away. And if those rights are signed away, at what point are they just going to put, I don't know, who do they put in every single movie in the world right now? Chris Pratt. Are they just going to be like, hey, our studio, whatever one of the like three that there are, our studio has rights to Chris Pratt. So, and this is pure speculation. We have rights to Chris Pratt. Why don't we just put him in the Mario 2 movie, but we don't need him to act. We'll just type in the lines. I mean, it wouldn't have soul and it wouldn't have the decisions that an actor makes. But at what point in cost cutting do studios start trying to make those decisions? I don't know. And it's a little scary. It's like, oh, we'll just slap that shit on anything. And that's kind of how I feel about seeing Chris Pratt in every single movie that's ever been made at the moment. It's just, anyway, it's just wild. The question is, would they have to pay him? What if they already have his rights? I don't know. Would they have to pay him? I don't know. Are they paying Carrie Fisher's estate when they put her in movies as CGI? I don't know. They should, but is it the same rate? All right. Let's see. I'm going to put in my in-ears while I roll the intro. We have lots to say. Pedantically speaking, wait, I'm here for it. Pedantically speaking, pronouncing IRL like Earl is pronouncing it as an acronym. IRL is an initialism. I didn't know that. Thank you. We have all been made smarter. I want to know. This is a well actually for me. So I appreciate that you put pedantically instead of well actually. Because at our house, especially with my oldest, it's well actually. Can I tell you guys a story about my oldest? Let me roll the intro and then I'm going to tell you a story about my oldest. And we'll get there. Trust but verify. That's where we're at with everything. On Tuesday, this is why we talked about having family passwords. Not like safe words, but like family passwords. Because we have to. Crystal Johnson asked the real questions here. And I think if you read Ready Player 1 and 2, you'll find that the answer is yes. And there are already companies making that happen in the world of using VR. So yes, and that's a whole nother question when we get to people's images and rights being used in illicit things that they did not license. Who is Chris Pratt? I'm going to leave that there. Goodbye, Earl. Oh, Earl did have to die. All right, let's keep going. I'm going to roll the intro and put in my in-ears.
Hey there, I'm Emily D. Baker, the internet's go-to legal analyst, breaking down the legal side of the pop culture and entertainment stories we can't stop talking about. I'm a big fan of the cursey words. I've been a licensed attorney for over 17 years, but this is not legal advice. This is where the law nerds unite to talk about facts, not... Let's get into it.
I'm not going to pronounce pedantically right. I'm just not. I can't. It's ingrained in my brain a different way. So, all right. I'm not going to sing Goodbye Earl. I know every lyric to Goodbye Earl. Goodbye Earl is, look, if you're texting your friends, don't make me Goodbye Earl him. The law enforcement will be able to figure out what you mean. But I'm just saying. So, quick family story. My kid, I can't wait to see what my kid's internet searches look like after this. My kid got an assignment at school. They have a really cool class where they are studying geography. And this might be a change from just the fact that I haven't been to high school in 100 million years, or a change in curriculum since we did move states. Since I went to high school, I don't know. But they're studying geography through almost a sociology lens. So they're looking at not just sociology, but sociology, economy, and looking at how cities thrive, how cities die, how industry moves people around. So more of not just where land is, but how humans interact with that land, and blue zones, and historical shifts of populations and things like that. So yes, human geography. But we did not have this in high school. I think this is new. And when I was like, what the fuck is human geography? I was like, what the fuck is human geography? No idea that this class existed. Love it. Much more dynamic. Love it so much. Didn't exist, probably existed when I was in high school. Didn't exist at my high school. Fascinated. So one of the things they're doing as they are down at the end of the school year is an assignment where they had to draw kind of like anthropology. I don't know the difference between anthropology and human geography. I truly don't. But it's fascinating. And so I've really loved learning what he's learning in this, because this is something I've never taken in high school. Like, he's in Spanish 1 and I'm like, great. I loved Spanish 1. But also fascinated by human geography. Like, want to go back and do this. Because this was different. Some of you were saying maybe social studies. We didn't learn social studies in this way. It becomes much more accessible and much more real. They have way cooler classes in high school than we did, because it does kind of mix all that anthropology, geography, economics, and he's learned a ton. And I'm like, wait, tell me more about that, which is actually really fun. I like to learn new shit, and my kid loves to explain shit. So one of the assignments, they got a city or area, and they had to decide what their plan was to survive a zombie apocalypse. So my child got assigned a city, and he was like, well, these are the upsides of this city and these are the downsides of this city. And I'm like, if you had to pick, what city would you pick in the continental US to survive a zombie apocalypse? And he had a very long answer for me. Here's the answer. He said, Raleigh, North Carolina. Here's why. So North Carolina, you are my son's vote for best equipped to survive a zombie apocalypse. So he made the assumption that zombies are decaying and that the weather in North Carolina would aid the rate of decomposition, and gave me a very long explanation about rates of decomposition, that muscle decomposes faster, that hot and humid would be much better for decomposition and things would decompose faster. Also, something about military bases, access to food and water, access to a seaport in case you needed to be rescued. But his thought was, if I could hide out until all the zombies decompose enough that they can't really chase me, I'm in a much better position to survive the zombie apocalypse if we let them all breathe out, if we let them all decompose out. And so I was like, I'm sorry. Why do you know so much about rates of decomposition? And he's like, well, I figured I couldn't myself kill all the zombies, right? So I have to find a way to out survive the zombies. So I'm going to need food and water. And I'm going to need to figure out how they'll die the fastest so that I can just kind of wait it out. And I'm like, I can see his Hunger Games strategy. It's like, how do I wait them out and make them all fight each other? So like, how can I hide? Because I'm not going to be able to fight them all. And so it was very interesting. I'm like, so at school, on your school computer, you were just Googling all the different rates of decomposition? He's like, yes, because I figure looking at the rate of muscle decomposition, they won't be able to chase me. And so if their muscles decompose first, and I'm in an area where decomposition is faster, then if they're not able to chase me, like if they're not fast zombies, I should be able to get to weapons, food, water, and kind of avoid the zombies because they're not going to be able to be fast because their muscles are going to decompose. I was like, well, fuck, that makes a lot of sense. Make that a video game. Okay, great. So it was fascinating to have a conversation, not just about what he was researching from his school computer, but about how much I still love going down rabbit holes and researching things. And I'm kind of jealous that when we had ideas like this in school, we couldn't just sit down with a Google and our friends and be like, let's solve the world's problems. Like, what's the most logical way? What's the most logical way to attack this? And what makes sense? So the most logical way was, if we assume these things about zombies, and I don't know if he's assuming maybe Walking Dead zombies versus like video game zombies, I don't know. If we assume the zombies are like this, then what? It was just steps to zombie apocalypse. Find Emily's son, do what he does. I mean, I feel like that's where I'm at. He is a teen. I don't trust all of his logic. There are definitely times he makes very irrational decisions and I'm like, what are you doing? Because teen, but I like the way he thought it through. I was like, this is very logical. I appreciate you. I appreciate that. So, and then I think he was talking about where he could barricade himself into like a 7-Eleven or something. He's like, I would barricade myself first into somewhere with food and not too many entrances and exits. I'm like, I like that plan. So then we had this whole conversation about it. And I thought it was really fun. So would a really cold place cause them to freeze? I don't know, maybe Alaska. But I think for my kid, the thought of trying to hunker down in Alaska maybe scared the shit out of him. So tell him hospital kitchen. I will suggest hospital kitchen. I wonder if he thinks hospitals have more people at risk of becoming zombified and he wants to find somewhere where there might not be a lot of people inside. 7-Eleven has too many windows. That's a very good point. IKEA's solid, not many windows. Costco's a good vote too. I like it. Costco is a good place. Also, not many entrances and exits. I like Costco. I think this is a solid plan. And not windows. So I like that. Alaska with bears. Yeah, is a lot of wildlife in Alaska. I mean, I imagine there's a lot of wildlife in North Carolina too. Like, by that logic, would Florida also count? Or does Florida have too many like bitey things that will actually kill you if you try to hide out in Florida? Like, is Florida, I should ask him, why is Florida like a no-fly zone? Very humid, lots of water. Too many crocodiles, maybe? I don't know. Alligators, all the things. So anyway, I thought this was fascinating. I'm like, high school would have been so much fun if we could have just been like, ooh, we're curious and sit down and like have all the information at our fingertips. And so I like that he's actually learning how to parse information because they don't really need to memorize shit, right? The answers are literally on a watch or a cell phone. They need to learn how to think. And I like seeing assignments that help them learn how to think and problem solve more than just like memorize these facts that you're going to inevitably forget because you don't really need them. So with that, yes, like Oregon Trail, we need an Oregon Trail zombie edition. I think the only reason my kid knows Like what dysentery is because of Oregon Trail. We should get to quick bits. I've been talking for like 30 minutes. Apologies, y'all, or not, because I think you're here about it. So Octo, can we talk about this while I'm there? Are you in Florida again? Are you not in Florida again? Alligators like rotting flesh. Well, then maybe Florida's a solid choice. The alligators will eat the zombies. And then you just become living as one, or let nature just eat the zombies and you go hide out in a Costco while nature eats all the zombies. Maybe that's the answer. So, with all of that, we're going to get to, what are we going to do first? We're going to do this appeal first, and then we're going to talk about Prince Harry. Hopefully that works. Are all my notes pulled up? No. Am I terribly, woefully, wonderfully prepared this morning? Of course we are. It's Thursday. It's been a busy week. Don't worry. By the time it gets to quick bits on Monday, it's going to be all cleaned up real quick, and you're just going to get the quick bits and it's going to be perfect. Today, you're getting the longer, wandering version of what I want to talk about. So let me find the article I was looking for that I thought I saved and I didn't. Because, we're professionals here. That's what that is. And let's do a swoopy doop. I can't tell you this is going to be quick, but it's going to be quickish. Y'all remember the Varsity Blues case, the college admissions scandal? You remember how much I love this case? I'm fascinated by it. It's kind of like the things we know, like it's the, oh no, I'm out of Kleenex. It's like the rich people shit goes on, but if that's not your world, you're like, oh, wait, that's really what you're doing? That's how you're getting your kids into college? Interesting. It's definitely a peek into the audacity of money and all of it. And, being someone who is a UCLA family and who grew up in Southern California at a high school where people did pay 30, 40, 50 plus $1,000 for college admissions, consultants and all the rest of it. And coming from a family with a high school principal and a flight attendant, where those were definitely not the things that were happening in my family, it was very interesting to watch all of this play out. The most shocking thing to me about the entire college admissions scandal is that there weren't any names. Well, no, that there were a few names that I knew on the list and weren't names of kids that went, or parents that had gone to the high school where I went, where I grew up. That was the thing I was most shocked about. But as these things all went to trial, there have been questions about whether or not the charges would stick. And I covered this a lot mostly looking at the water polo coach at USC. That's the part of it I was most fascinated about, because someone that I had met in the past, but I know a lot of people who knew and was fascinated by. Also, my brother played water polo at UCLA. So there's that. It's not really about school rivalry. I mean, my sister-in-law did go to USC. So, house divided and all that, but it was interesting. USC, by the way, not the South Carolina one, not the cocky one, the Trojan one, but the fact that the mascots at USC California is the Trojans and the USC in South Carolina is cocky is not lost on me. Was this planned? I don't know. Maybe. But, either way, go Bruins. So let's talk about this. We're not going to read this opinion because it's 156 pages, but I am tempted to do a breakdown for you on it. If you're interested, let me know. The First Circuit on Wednesday wiped out nearly all the convictions of two Varsity Blues parents who were found guilty at trial of paying huge sums of money to get their children into an elite college, hammering prosecutors' invalid fraud theory and holding that the evidence didn't prove an overarching conspiracy. This is going to come up again because the water polo coach has another trial coming up. This is coming. Oh, I should. Emily, share your screen. Excuse me, share your screen. Of course I should. This is coming from Law 360. I like their reporting quite a lot. I say that rarely. I say that a lot about them, rarely about others. The 3-judge panel vacated all but one of the convictions against hedge fund founder John Wilson and former casino executive Gamal Albaziz, who stood trial before the Boston jury who reached guilty verdicts in October 2021. Remember, the water polo coach from USC also went to Boston for trial. The opinion penned by U.S. Circuit Judge Sandra Lynch said the government's theory of honest services fraud was invalid as a matter of law. Further, the federal judge overseeing the trial was wrong to instruct the jury that the admission slots at the University of Southern California qualified as property for the purposes of wire fraud. Right? Can a admission position be property? Ryan said, so it wasn't lawful law. Correct. That's exactly what the First Circuit said. The First Circuit was like, that's not lawful law. That's not how any of this works. What they're saying is the government overreached. And that's what other defendants have argued in these cases. The two parents were also severely prejudiced by a mountain of evidence the government compiled over the course of the sprawling prosecution and presented to the jury about other parents' dealings with the ringleader, Rick Singer, who sang the second the feds came to him and then recorded all these calls, which is why this went forward in the first place. I just dropped things. This is something we're going to see argued on appeal in the Murdaugh case as well. But in the Murdaugh case, they were bringing in other acts of Murdaugh, right? And bringing in other things he did, other things he said to people. In this case, they're talking about what parents not on trial did with Rick Singer. I think the government was trying to shoehorn this into, and just so we're clear, I think all of these people should be prosecuted. But also, you have to do it properly and have evidence lawfully. And I think they're trying to shoehorn that in as, hey, this is part of the conspiracy, so we can tell you about what all the co-conspirators did. But do you think that the parents were co-conspirators with each other if their kids were all competing for limited spots in college admissions? Or was this more of a wheel and a spoke kind of a thing? Not that they were all interconnected. So maybe the spoke is a bad analogy. Octo, would tentacles be a better analogy? Arms? Because it's more like you've got the ringleader and then different people engaging with the ringleader. They're not really all engaging with each other. And I don't even think they're trying to mutually benefit each other. Yes, this is what Lori Loughlin, her husband, Felicity and others were involved in. This is that college admission scandal Varsity Blues case, because they called it Operation Varsity Blues. So I don't know if those parents are actually co-conspirators with each other or if all of them are independently co-conspirators with Rick Singer, because they're actually competing against each other in a sense. The overarching conspiracy charge enabled the government, Emily, keep reading, enabled the government to introduce evidence of other parents' corrupt intent. That's why they use it. Intent and actions in working with Singer, the panel said, we see an unacceptable risk that the jury in the case may have imputed other parents' culpable mental states to the defendants. And this is the risk. Look, the government uses conspiracy as a catch-all. It is very broad. Conspiracy and wire fraud are very, very broad, malleable statutes that federal prosecutors will use for all manner of shit. It's kind of like a catch-all. Wait, Octo, what? Arms. Octopus arms have satellite brains that don't need to check in with the central brain, which is in the shape of a donut wrapped around its esophagus. Wait. So the arms act independently of each other. Okay, well, that's not how this conspiracy worked. The octopus is smarter than this conspiracy, is what I've learned from Octo. I learn something new all the time, and I love it. This decision is a blow to the U.S. Attorney's Office in Massachusetts, who launched the headline-grabbing case in March 2019, charging business executives and Hollywood stars with working with Singer to grease the higher education system wheels and win their children's slots at some of the nation's most prestigious universities. They should have just donated a library like all the other fucking rich people. Note the sarcasm. But also, a spokeswoman for the U.S. Attorney's Office said the office is reviewing the opinion and assessing next steps. Yeah, because now you got a big problem for all of your prosecutions. A lot of people pled guilty. There's not much they can do with that. But for those that went to trial, this should be troubling to the prosecutor's office. Dozens of parents, school officials, and associates of Singer pled guilty to Varsity Blue charges, and many have come out the other end of their prison terms. Well, because they went in for 7 seconds. In January, a Boston federal judge sentenced Singer to 3.5 years in prison for masterminding the largest college admission scam in the nation's history. And it was so low because he cooperated with the government. You remember how this scam broke? Somebody else was being investigated, and they're like, hey, but let me tell you what I know about this going on over here. So someone else brokered information to open this up, and that's how the feds work. University of Southern California water polo coach Jovan Vavic, also convicted by a jury of Varsity Blues charges, had his convictions overturned when a federal judge ordered a new trial based on prosecutors' claim that the school was victimized by the bribes, which were ultimately paid into an account for the sports team. So they're like, that's not lawful law. So this is going to change the way his new trial goes forward. 2 other college admissions cases prosecuted in Boston also resulted in acquittals. The panel's decision unwinding these 2 convictions found that the wire fraud allegations fell apart under both the theory that USC was deprived of the honest services of its employees and the theory that the scheme deprived it of the proprietary of its admission slots. So it's like the university's not defrauded. There's no victim. The university wasn't defrauded out of anything. So who's harmed? I mean, you can't go find a student that didn't gain admission because one of these students took their slot, because how would you ever know that that's why that student didn't get in? So who is harmed in all of this? Do you feel harmed? Have you been personally victimized by the college admission scandal? Or are you just like morally outraged? And trying to find who the victim is a real interesting question, which is why I'm sure prosecutors were like, but this is fucking illegal. And it's like, right, but who's the victim of it? Is it the University of Southern California? Not really. And that's what the appeals court grappled with, apparently in 156 pages. I don't think their reputation was damaged. I think people look at USC and are like, well, yeah, money bought you a spot. Shocked. I mean, are any of us shocked? Harm to society is not going to fly, though I understand. So. So I understand the frustration of prosecutors who are like, but it's a massive fucking scam. But also I understand the court's going, and the victim is who? The parents willingly paid the money. The parents weren't scammed by Singer. The parents paid the money to get the admission spots. The parents weren't scammed. So who was defrauded? Wild, isn't it? They said admission slots are not automatically property for the purpose of wire fraud. We emphasize the narrowness of our holding. This holding's going to be real interesting. We do not hold that admission slots cannot ever be property, nor do we hold that the jury instruction given by the district court could never be appropriate. They're trying to limit this from being disastrous. The resolution of these questions will require much more detail, both legal and factual. They're like, but for now, fuckery. Prosecutors' broad views of both wire fraud theories could criminalize a wide swath of conduct. Yeah, that's what they want to do. Including donations to a preschool by a parent hoping to gain admission for their children's, or embellishments in a kindergarten application. Because that shit goes on all the time. They're like, no. I love that the First Circuit is like, no. We don't want to make it so that it's criminal to give big donations to schools to get your kid a slot. Like, that's not criminal. The criminal part was the lying on the application, but then they're like, well, how much lying on an application is a real problem? Like, what levels of embellishment? It's so weird. They're like, is saying that you're going to be on the crew team the embellishment? Is saying you're going to be on the water polo team the embellishment? Or is it like changing your transcripts or saying you got a higher score on a test? Like, where is the lying okay? It's interesting, isn't it, that the First Circuit wants to make it very clear, Call Me Al, that buying spots with donations is specifically not illegal. They're like, no, we don't want to apply it to like donate a wing of the library and get your kid in. I wonder how many of these judges went to Yale. It's like, no, we'll name a wing of the library after you, and then your kid will get a spot. That's how this works. They don't want to diminish the ability. Here's what I'm taking away from this. This might be an overly emotional reaction, but here's what I take away from this sentence from the appeals court. We don't want to make it harder for wealthy families to use money to gain access for their children. That's not what we want to do. So we need to narrowly curtail this to find out the very slim and narrow parsing of why what William Singer did to kind of systematically exploit the system is different than when parents directly donate to the school. Maybe the problem is giving the money to Singer and not just giving it directly to the school. And that's where the line is. It's so fucking wild. It's like, no. We can't take away the ability for rich people to buy access for their children. That can't stand. That can't stand. There still needs to be some level of classism is what this is saying to me. Fucking hell. The reason I was offended by all of this is because I am pretty confident I wouldn't have even gotten into college were it not for my ability to play a sport and them going, well, we understand that you play sports and we're going to overlook your GPA a bit. Imagine. Athletics is one of the ways that kids who otherwise might not be able to afford SAT tutors, math tutors, to get into all the right classes, to get it all of the help that those who can afford it will get for their children to get into the colleges. Athletics kind of levels that field a little bit and lets kids who otherwise don't have maybe the same grades or test scores or the same opportunity and access to have the same grades or test scores have spots in college admission because they bring something to the table. And so paying a consultant to take those spots away from college athletes offends me on a deep level. But you can't show that one particular water polo player that didn't get into USC is the victim. And apparently the courts are like, USC's maybe not the victim. So if USC's not the victim, who's the victim? And if there's no victim, you can't really bring a wire fraud case. Ugh. Isn't it wild? Isn't it wild? I know there's other ways to get into college. Academics can get you there, sports can get you there, arts can get you there, band can get you there, music can get you there. I know there's lots of different ways. I'm just speaking from my personal experience because, well, it's the one I have, and I can unequivocally say that my GPA alone was not going to pull that weight. So that. Would the water polo team be the victim? But who's really the victim? Isn't that the school? Because the water polo coach sold this. This is wild to me that this is the conversation that's being had at the First Circuit Court. The First Circuit Court literally said, hold up, but making big donations to get your kid into school is not a problem. Wow. Okay, let's keep going. I didn't think we were going this direction. This is why I do first looks, so we can process things together. We recognize that our analysis leaves considerable uncertainty as to how district courts should apply the mail and wire fraud statute's property requirement in cases involving admissions to educational institutions. You think this is going to make it a mess? But these are the quiet parts that are going to start getting said out loud, which is what I like about this case. Let's just say it out loud. The courts, by the way, becoming a federal judge is not an easy thing, but the courts are like, but buying your way into school is not the problem. Wow. There are sound reasons to be prudent and cautious by criminalizing conduct, even unethical conduct, in this complicated area affecting so many students and parents. I will argue the other side of this is that though I don't like the conduct, I think the federal court saying maybe we shouldn't criminalize all behavior is also probably prudent. Like, hey, maybe we shouldn't overreach everything and make it a crime. Can we have the same conversation with regard to marijuana, though? Please, maybe. Can we do that too? Like, if bribing your way into school is cool, can we just like leave weed alone too? I have more thoughts. I'm not going to get into them. We will end up in an everything problem where we can't talk about everything. But the courts are trying to narrow what can be criminalized and how far these statutes can reach. And they reach pretty far. It feels more untenable because they're like, I mean, let people be rich and buy their way into school. Like, let's not overreach in criminal prosecutions. But these tend to be wire fraud is not happening if you don't have money to move around, right? So we do have very big conversations around wealth with this. While the opinion tossed the fraud, bribery, conspiracy count. Why'd you toss the bribery counts? I'm going to have to do a deep dive. Toss the fraud, bribery, and conspiracy counts. The panel affirms the conviction for deducting $120,000 paid to Singer from his business, Hyannis Port Capital, and claiming another $100,000 to the mastermind as a charitable contribution. That's where they got you, in lying that it was a charitable contribution. Good. The lawyer for the other defendant, Joshua Sharp of Nixon Peabody, not an inexpensive law firm, told Law 360, which is why I love Law 360, because with Law 360, we get so many lawyers talking to the outlet. Told Law 360 in a statement Wednesday that the defendant has maintained his absolute innocence from day one and is enormously grateful that the appeals court has reversed his unfair conviction. We are pleased to have represented him in this matter and look forward to putting this behind him. I mean, I don't think they're going to be able to go forward with this. What's going to happen to the coaches, the water polo coaches case, is going to be very interesting in light of this. It confirms what we've known from the beginning. John Wilson's case is fundamentally different from others in the broader Varsity Blues scandal. His children were all qualified for admission to those schools on their own athletic and academic merits, and none of his money went to enrich any coach, but rather was directed to the schools himself. We are examining the opinion to determine the appropriate next steps. Interesting. They're like, he did it the old-fashioned way. He just made donations to the school, and then his kids got a spot. He's not even part of this greater conspiracy. This case brings up so much, doesn't it? All right. Since we're talking about wealth and privilege, let's keep talking about wealth and privilege, shall we? Shall we talk about Prince Harry? Here's my warning before we talk about Prince Harry. I realize Prince Harry and his wife have become very polarizing figures. We are going to be talking about the wrong that was done to them. If you dislike Prince Harry, his wife, his behavior, his face, his house, the fact that he lives in California, any of the above, that's totally fine. You are welcome to your opinion. However, we are going to talk about whether what the media did to him is wrong. I know the fact that we have to trigger warning Prince Harry is very strange. It's just, we're in the world of polarizing figures. But just because we don't like people or do like people or whatever, people or don't care about people, we can still evaluate whether the wrong that's being done to them is untenable without being mean or personally attacking, those ad hominem attacks on them that I see so much. So with all of that, we can also have feelings about the monarchy and the institution of monarchy and that separate and aside from what's being done to him in this particular case, right? What if Prince Harry stole my lunch money back in grade school? I find that hard to believe. Love the dirty water, but you're welcome to be mad about it. There are definitely a few that are still on my list from elementary school where I'm like, I haven't forgotten. Cause rage lasts. Also, for those that gifted membership, Nicole, Amy, thank you. I know others gifted memberships earlier on. Thank you so much. For those new members, you can go into your community spaces and rewatch the members only live from last night and have access to the members only posts and what have you. So Lynn is right where we're at. I can't stand Harry and Meghan. However, no one should have their rights taken. This is exactly the law nerd thing. Two things can be true at once. We cannot like people, and we can evaluate whether what was done to them is right or wrong. I love that you're like, grade school grudges are real. They are. I go to therapy. I try to let them go. I try not to carry them with me. And really, they're not grudges anymore. They're just I have not forgotten. So if you DM me on Instagram and are like, oh my God, girl, hey, I saw your coverage of XYZ trial. Oh my God, I saw you on the news. And my mom said you were in the newspaper and that's so cool. I might just not respond. Sometimes, though, I don't respond because I get a lot of DMs and I just didn't see it. So don't assume that it's you that I'm talking about. It's probably not, and I probably just missed it. Those who it is, if you were mean to me in elementary school, it might be you. We can keep it guessing. We can keep it guessing. It's kind of the way, does everybody do this? Is this just me? And then we're going to swoop and talk about Prince Harry. This might just be me. You tell me if this is just me. Do you still call people from like elementary school, high school, and sometimes college? Well, college, I call everybody by their last name, but by literally their first and last name. Because I have friends from high school who have been married for 20 plus years that I still call by their first and last name, maiden name, from like when I talk to my parents. Everyone is first and last name. No one is just first name. Everyone from school is first and last name. There are a few that are last name only. No one is first name only. It's always, and I don't want to put anybody on blast, except for Scott White. I'll put Scott White on blast. It's not on blast because I love him and you all know how much I adore him and he's been on the channel before. But when I'm talking about like to my mom and I'm like, oh my God, I talked to Scott White the other day. It's never I talked to Scott. It's always the clarification. How's he doing? Well, this is what he's up to. How are his folks? What's going on? Always that. All right. So with all of that, everyone still knows me by my maiden name. It's funny because all my DA friends know me by Baker, but everybody who knew me before I went to law school, because I got married right before I went to law school. So pre-law school, people will still refer to me by my my maiden name. Post-law school, people refer to me as Baker. So it's kind of funny. And it's funny because even like my brother texted me that he ran into somebody that I went to high school with at work and they saw his name tag and they were like, I know your sister. We went to high school together, blah, 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 blah. He texted me full name. I ran into so-and-so at work. This is what they're doing. They asked how you were doing. And I was like, if they're on Instagram, then they probably know how I'm doing. All right, let's talk about Prince Harry, shall we? With all those disclaimers aside that I find the behavior here kind of appalling, but I've also found the headlines kind of misleading. So we're going to go to the headlines I find least misleading first, and then go from there. So we're going to the AP News. All right. I went to high school in New Jersey. I miss this. Elizabeth, I went to high school in New Jersey. A lot of Mikes and Anthonys. You have to use last names. Yep. It's funny because, so my mom grew up in New Jersey, but it's really funny hearing my mom still talk about her high school folks, first and last name, everybody, unless it's last name. Some people have the distinct honor, especially in Jersey, of going just by their last name, and everybody knows who they're talking about. All right. Prince Harry's lawyer says British tabloid spied on industrial scale. This is in trial now in the UK. The British publisher of the Daily Mirror apologized. That's going to be used against them in trial, which is why it came up on day one. This is slated to be a 6-week trial. It is not streamed. We have to rely on reporting. I am going to be touching in if you're interested. Prince Harry is supposed to testify. I find what's being alleged here to be very disturbing, and I am very interested to see what happens. The British publisher of the Daily Mirror apologized for one instance of snooping on Prince Harry, but denied his other claims Wednesday as the trial for one of Harry's phone hacking lawsuits began, with the prince's lawyer accusing the newspaper of unlawfully gathering information on an industrial scale. The admission that the publisher employed a private investigator for a 2004 article headlined "Sex on the Beach with Harry" may only give the Duke of Sussex a taste of satisfaction, though. Interesting use of words with that headline. Since the story in question wasn't one of the nearly 150 that Harry alleges resulting from the skullduggery, I'm living for the AP writing here, the disclosure may have little bearing on the verdict. They apologized, but not for the things they're being sued for. I think it has bearing for me. It might have bearing on, oh, no jury. Yeah, well, the way I think about this case and the way a judge might think about this case might be different because no jury. The 7-week trial that opened in London, that opened in London is Harry's biggest test yet in his legal battle against the British media. He and 3 others, including 2 soap opera actors, are suing Mirror Group. Elton John has sued in a separate suit over this too. Are suing Mirror Group newspapers for alleged misuse of private information between 1991 and 2011. I don't know what the statute of limitations is on some of this. This is old. Anisha in the chat asked, when does the trial start? It started, I believe, on Monday or Tuesday. It started this week. The prince wasn't in court as his attorney, David Shearborn, began his opening statement saying unlawful acts were, quote, widespread and habitual by reporters and editors at the Daily Mirror, Sunday Mirror, and Sunday People. So the media has apologized for it, but not for this instance. In the US, a jury would be like, you knew what you did. But we're dealing with judges in the UK, and they are going to parse the legal a bit more finely generally. Something big flew by my window. It distracted me. It was a flood of illegality, Shearborn said, but worse, this flood was being approved by senior executives, managing editors, and members of the board. Invoices and phone records, some so old they came from obsolete Palm Pilots, showed how the news, entertainment, sports, and photo departments relied on investigators plying unscrupulous tactics. Shearborn said the former Daily Mayor, dear Emily, that's rough. Shearborn said that the former Daily Mirror editor, Piers Morgan, was aware of the hacking and even participated. Morgan has publicly denied involvement in the phone hacking. So this is going to come up too, I suppose. Good. Polarizing figures on polarizing figures on top of polarizing figures. Fantastic. The allegations go back to a scandal that erupted over journalists and private eyes who intercepted voicemails for scoops on members of the royal family, politicians, athletes, celebrities, and even crime victims. You don't have a right to any of it. It evolved from a low-tech hack of punching in default passwords in the early days of voicemail to using deception to gain medical records, tapping phones, and bugging homes. Bugging homes. Fucking hell, leave people alone. You don't need to know anything that badly. Publisher Mirror Group newspapers denied it hacked phones to intercept voicemail messages of Harry and the 3 others, and it said they had brought their claims well past the 6-year time limit. That might actually be true. I'm glad we're learning about the behavior, though, or the allegations of the behavior. But if there is a 6-year time limit, then claims going all the way back to 1991 aren't going to fly. But in court papers outlining its defense, the publisher acknowledged, quote, some evidence of the instruction of third parties to engage in the types of UGI unlawful information gathering. So there is evidence that this happened. It said the activity, quote, warrants compensation, but didn't spell out what form it might take. We'll talk about Williams' resolution of these claims in a minute. Let's see. MGN unreservedly apologizes for all such instances of unlawful information gathering. It's so weird when they say UGI that they try to like downplay it. Hacking. It's hacking. The fact that this wasn't criminal is kind of surprising to me. Or maybe it is and they just didn't pursue it. Britain seems to have stronger privacy rules than even the US. So it surprises me that it shouldn't, but it surprises me that once this comes to light, it's not investigated more. But also, I've never lived in England. I've visited once. So there's a whole world of intermeshedness that I surely do not have context for. But also, my questions remain, how weren't people prosecuted? This is a civil case. The company said its apology wasn't a tactical move to reduce damages, but it was done because such conduct should never have occurred. Agreed. Okay, good. We agree on something. Such conduct never should have occurred. And surely it should have stopped well after 1997. The case, the first of the Duke's 3 phone hacking lawsuits to go to trial, threatens to do something he said his family long feared. Put a royal on the witness stand to discuss embarrassing revelations. I mean, but Prince Harry's got nothing to lose at this point. The media's not on his side. And maybe, just maybe, could this change the way these things are done? Could Prince Harry being willing to fight for all of this change the way the media operates, at least in England? Maybe change that at least. And if that's true, wouldn't that benefit all of the royals? Harry is expected to testify in person in June. I will check back on that. His lawyer has said it won't be his first time in the High Court following his surprise appearance last month to observe most of the 4-day hearing in one of his other lawsuits. I did, a Frenchie in London, I did look into it when this story first came up, when these lawsuits first came up. It's wild. Vita said it already has changed. Good. Maybe this will just solidify it. The prince has waged a war of words and torts against British newspapers and legal claims, and in his best-selling memoir, Spare. Am I going to have to read Spare? I feel like it's research. Well, VPR is almost done. So I haven't caught up on Housewives of New Jersey yet, but VPR is almost done. Maybe Spare is next. Do I need to read Spare, chat? Vowing to make it his life's mission, reforming the media that he blames for the death of his mother. Well, then this all makes sense. That he blames for the death of his mother, Princess Diana. She died in a car wreck in Paris in 1997 while trying to evade paparazzi. You guys are like, no, please don't. Some of you are saying, yes, read it. Some of you are like, oh, no. Very mixed. Just read the Cliff's notes. Listen to Spare. Well, when I say read, I generally mean audiobooks. Very, very divided on whether I should read it or not. All right. I will keep that in mind, chat. So I'll go with a cautious. If I go into it, I'll go into it cautiously. Just watch Zach's book club. He covered Spare. Okay. Maybe I'll just do that. But I do have the audiobook. His lawsuits could further royal family relations. Clever use of the word royal. I'm enjoying the way this article is written. His lawsuits could further royal family relations that have been strained since Harry and his wife Meghan left the royal family in 2020 and moved to California after complaining about racist attitudes from the British press. In a stunning revelation in a related case last month that dredged up an embarrassing chapter in his father's life, Harry blamed his delay in bringing the suit in part on his family. He asserted that he was barred from bringing a case against The Sun and other newspapers owned by media magnate Rupert Murdoch because of a, quote, secret agreement allegedly approved of by Queen Elizabeth II that called for reaching a private settlement and getting an apology. Isn't that what William did? And couldn't he have done that? I don't think Harry wants any of this to be private. Do you? He said the deal was to spare the royal family from having to answer questions in court about private and highly sensitive information, Harry said in a witness statement given against the news group newspapers. The institution was incredibly nervous about this. I'm shrinking in my chair. The institution was incredibly nervous about this and wanted to avoid it at all cost. The sort of reputational damage that it had suffered in 1993, he said, alluding to a transcript of a leaked recording published in the Sunday Mirror of an intimate conversation his father, then Prince of Wales, had with his paramour, now Queen Camilla, in which he compared himself to a tampon. What? Y'all, I don't follow the royals closely. What? I mean, what? Harry said that his brother, Prince William, had quietly settled his own hacking claims with the news group for a, quote, huge sum of money in 2020. Y'all are like, he sure did. Holy shit. Chat. Thanks for informing me. It was their sexy talk. Did I miss it? That tampons were sexy? Because nothing about that feels sexy to me. Maybe my sexy talk is different. Wait, where are my books from last night? It's referred to in the UK as Tampon Gate. Fantastic. Someone listened to a phone call. Someone listened in on a phone call to Camilla when he said he wanted to be her tampon. Okay. Tampon Gate. All right. How did you miss Tampon Gate? It was everywhere. I don't know. What year was this? When did this happen? Was this 1993? What was I doing? I was in high school. That's how I missed it. Was not paying attention at all. Not at all. Not at all. Danielle B in the chat said, do I need to Google Tampon Gate now? Probably not. I think the chat explained it pretty well. So, now we know more about what. Wait, does this come up in The Crown at all? At all? Does this come up in the? When does this come up in The Crown? That's what I want to see. Is this his sexy talk? Wait, it comes up in The Crown. Fantastic. I just need to catch up on The Crown. Okay, great. We're going to get caught up. Fantastic. Yes, it did in this last season. I haven't watched this last season. It was cringe, but it was a private conversation. Phoenix by Blood, thank you for bringing us back to the point. That is the point. The point is, no matter how cringeworthy your sexy talk is, you should still be allowed to have your sexy talk without the entire world knowing. But you need to remember that conversations between two people, if the other person leaks it, that's different. If someone is bugging your phone, that's different. So people sending sexy time text messages between each other, if those end up in a Vanderpump Rules reunion shared by one of the parties, that's very different than somebody bugging a phone or hacking. Right? Hacking, not okay. Bugging phones, not okay. Releasing this to what? To embarrass people? I mean, obviously. What year did Diana and Charles get divorced? I don't remember. Please read the transcript. Oh, God. History teacher Lisa. That was fantastic. Somehow we've gotten there. I also learned early, and the chat's echoing this. I learned early that I don't want to know. They got divorced in 96. They separated in 92, divorces in 96. Okay, so separate. So this is right after they separated, which explains the intense public interest in this kind of shit with Camilla. Also might explain, well, I think we understand some of the children's feelings towards Camilla. I get it. But I had lost my train of thought. So, but it's still not okay to hack people's phones to get to that information. Okay. Harry said his brother, Prince William, had quietly said, I was saying, I don't want to know other people's sexy talk because I, as a DA, listening to jail calls was part of what I did for work. And I heard a lot of other people's sexy talk. If I want to hear other people's sexy talk, I will find an author that I like and read it. But what I don't want is just normie sexy talk. I don't need to hear your sexy talk. I don't want to. I just don't want to. I don't want to. It's just no. Even when it's I have other uses for your throat, I just don't want to know. Which I have other uses for your throat. I put orders above I want to be your tampon. Chat, do we need to put up a poll? Is that a weird fucking poll? Is this where this is what's happened today? Sorry. Whoop. I told you there were going to be rabbit holes. I don't want other people's sexy talk, but I have other uses for your throat. Seems better. Okay, here I'm going to put up a poll. Miguelina, I won't make you write it. I'm going to put up a poll. Which is sexier, right? That's the poll. Which is other uses for your throat. Did I spell throat right? Maybe, maybe not. 10 out of 10, I'll probably not. All right. There y'all go. I'm not going to shame you for either. Whatever you find sexy is personal to you. Personal to you. Personal to you. There's no shame in this chat. No kink shaming. We need to get back to last night's book. Because maybe we got a little confused about the 6-way, but other than that, we were good. So, let's continue on, shall we? Harry said that his brother, Prince William, had quietly settled his own hacking claims with News Group for a huge sum of money in 2020. He also claimed his father had directed palace staff to order him to drop his litigation because it was bad for the family. And Prince Harry's like, I don't give a fuck, yo. Murnau's company denied that there was a secret agreement and wouldn't comment on the alleged settlement. Of course not. It's a private settlement. The palace hasn't responded to requests for comment. I'm shocked. Harry has alleged that Mirror Group reporters used illegal methods to gather material from his family and friends for 147 articles, but the trial will focus on 33 of those. I can't wait to read the opinion when this comes out. Because I'm very interested in the evidence that's going to come out about this. The publisher has said the allegations are overstated and denied its reporters relied on unlawfully gathered information for almost all these articles. We didn't rely on illegal info for all or almost all the articles. It was just some. It wasn't 147 articles, y'all. It was just a few articles that we illegally tapped phones for. That doesn't make it better. It apologized for a February 2004 article in Sunday People that described Royal Romeo Prince Harry romancing two stunning models at London's China White nightclub during his boozy night out. The publisher said an investigator was hired to engage in unlawful activity, but it said the £75, $95 fee suggested little work was done. Well, MGN unreservedly apologizes and accepts that the Duke of Sussex is entitled to appropriate compensation for it. In 2015, publishers of The Mirror printed a front-page apology for phone hacking and tripled its victim compensation fund to £12 million, $15 million. Mirror Group said more than 600 of some 830 claims had been settled. 830 claims?
830 claims of illegal hacking? What? And they're trying to say it's just a few? I'm confused. I'm confused. I'm confused.
Will it be public? We're going to get reporting like this, but that's about it because this is in a UK court. The court's opinion might end up being public. Of the remaining 104 active cases, 86 were brought too late to be litigated, the defendant said in court papers. Harry's co-claimants in the trial are Nikki Sanderson and Michael Turner, best known for their roles on Coronation Street, and Fiona Whitman, I think. No, maybe. The former wife of comedian Paul Whitehouse. The lawsuits are combined as a test case that could determine the outcome of hacking claims also made against Mirror Group by former Girls Aloud member Cheryl, the estate of late singer George Michael, and former soccer player Ian Wright. This is not going away anytime soon. There are multiple suits going on with Harry. What's interesting is the other aspect of this story that I've seen quite a lot about is that this hacking allegedly led to the breakup between him and Chelsea Davies. So now I think in the papers, particularly that don't love Meghan Markle, they're like, look, this is why Chelsea Davies was scared off this behavior by the media. So it's interesting seeing those differentiations. We have talked quite fulsomely about both of these things, college admissions and my feelings about the press. This is fuckery. It's not okay. Don't go to illegal means to gather information. Leave people alone. Report on what they do in public. And I don't know. There's something different between trying to root out corruption, Murdoch-style corruption, politicians that are corrupt, illegal gifts that are improper, lying about sources of funds, these types of corruption, and reporting on whether or not Prince Charles has really cringy, sexy talk over the phone. Those are two completely different things. I don't condone illegal means in any of them, by the by. But I understand digging for reports and doing actual investigating journalism to suss out things that need to be brought to light. But this is not investigative journalism to me. Hacking phones is not investigative journalism. It's criminal behavior. And hiding behind, well, we're publishing it, is still criminal behavior. And I think it should be prosecuted as such. It's criminal. Oh, I should have given a third option for those of you that are like, I don't find either of these sexy. That's fair. They also got Kate sunbathing. They did. I don't remember if that was that on a public beach or was that private property where they were like sneaking around to get onto private property. I don't remember. The transcript isn't that bad. Cringe to others, maybe. And that's what it, I mean, right. So what's it used for other than to embarrass? And isn't that what it was being used for? Was to embarrass a private conversation. It was private property. Right. It was private property. Private property should stay private. Leave her alone. There's lots of yacht topless photos, but the chat seems to be saying this was private property with an insane telephoto lens. Leave it be. They do this to celebrities in their backyards too. I'm not a celebrity, and I understand the appeal of going and living on 300 acres, except that it would be a lot of maintenance. As long as I could still have good video. All right, let me pull up what's going on in Idaho. Oh, hold on. I forgot to check Pacer. I told the members I would last night to see if there's anything going on in the Idaho defamation case. So indulge me. I beg the chat's indulgence. We're going to lay down a music bed. I'll take a little stretch break, and I'm going to take a look at that case. We're taking a stretch break while Emily does a little research, because I'm curious if the TikToker has filed the response yet. The mods are like, no, please don't pull up another topic. We're an hour and a half in. Don't worry. I can do things quickly. Lies. Lies. Emily, you can't get to stream on time. What can you do quickly? I know. All right. TikToker defamation suit. There is a change of address by the defendant, and that is the last thing on the record. I'm not going to pull that up because I don't want to know the old address or the new address, because the defendant seems to be using their personal address, and I'm not pulling that up on the internet. Though they may be now using a business address, and that might be what the change of address is. Let's hope that that's the case. But that's all. They have not filed their response yet. They only had 21 days to file their response. So that should be coming shortly. You're right. I need to swoop. Hold on. What I need to do is pull up my drive for these research documents. Give me 1 second. I should have let the music bed keep going. Oh, I can pull up my StreamYard music bed. Hold on, we can do the rock one. We can do the rock one. Emily's research music. While I am trying to find what I'm trying to find, which is these documents. I also want to see if there's any new documents. Let's see if there's any new Moscow documents first. I should swoop. Now we'll swoop. We're going to go ahead and end the poll because it's not an okay poll to leave up when we're talking about quadruple homicide. All right. You like the music. I'm glad. The research music is doing it for y'all. I'm here for it. I love our StreamYard music. Use This for Your Throat was the overarching winner. I'm not surprised by that, chat. I'm not surprised. All right. Let's swoop. I'm going to turn off our music. We are going back to Idaho to look at what's going on with not only Bryan Kohberger adding another attorney to his team, which we knew was coming, but also we are going to look, those are older orders. We're also going to look at what's going on in the discovery dispute. Some stuff is missing. Why is stuff taken down? I have questions. Oh, because that's the wrong case. Emily, get it together. That was stuff going on in the Daybell case. That's not it. So we have apparently a new attorney. So let's see what the notice of appearance is. Is this a new attorney? No, this is for the media companies. We're going to go through some of the discovery stuff that's going on. So we've got a third supplemental request for discovery and a motion to compel discovery. And then we have the motions to reconsider, which I covered on Tuesday. So let's look at the two different discovery motions now and see what the defense is asking for and kind of where we stand pre-prelim. There is a hearing coming up on the 22nd. I will be covering that. It seems that it can be streamed, so I will be covering that. It's my intent to stream it, and that will be in Monday, the 22nd. So I will be here for that hearing with y'all, and then I might not stream on Thursday, so I'll stream on Monday and Tuesday, release the podcast on Wednesday that week, and then I will be off for the weekend. But that hearing, that scheduling hearing will be on the 22nd. It'll probably be pretty quick. Let's go over the defendant's third supplemental request for discovery. This is a formal request for discovery. It does not mean all these things exist, but now that we've gotten to the third request for discovery, it leads me to believe they think some of this stuff exists. So, let's do that. All right. Standard lab discovery. This is the defendant asking for these things from the prosecution. Some of these things, it just might not be time yet to turn them over. Let's just do a quick recap. The prosecution, yes, 22nd of May. The prosecution is required to turn over all of the evidence, including and especially potentially exculpatory evidence, but the prosecution doesn't get to determine what's exculpatory, right? So they have to turn it over to the defense, and the defense gets to decide. So they just basically have to turn over everything. And so the defense is making formal requests. There's a timeliness to this. They might not be up at the time when the prosecution has to turn it over yet. Some of this they might not have yet. I want to see what the defense has to say. But at the end of the day, this is not like a civil discovery case where if you lose, it doesn't get turned over. All of this will eventually get turned over. It's a matter of timing. Biological testing case file. Please provide a complete copy of the case file, including all records made by each laboratory in connection with the biological testing in this case. Some of that might not be discoverable depending on the case notes. Some case notes might not be discoverable. It just depends. Including biological screening, serology testing. This is all DNA stuff. Please provide photographic quality copies of all photographs in the original case file, including photographs of evidence. Electronic copies of photographs are acceptable. Chain of custody of current disposition of evidence. That's fair. It might not be time to turn that over yet. That'll all have to be turned over before trial. They want this stuff being, probably turned over before prelim, if they have it. Please provide copies of all records that document the treatment and handling of biological evidence. In this case, this is going to go to DNA. Profiles uploaded to the DNA database. In the event that the case involves the upload of a DNA profile, if this defendant was not in the databases yet, that might have happened, but that might not have happened yet. But if it does, they want to know if any profiles have been uploaded to CODIS. This might also get to, was there anybody else that they're running through CODIS, or are they running, this might give them information. This is speculation. This might be that they want to know if the defendant is being run against other crimes too. Documentation of all uploads, including interpretation and or, I have no idea how to say that, deconvolutions of mixed profiles, handwritten notes, spreadsheets. So they're asking for everything. Some of the handwritten notes might not get turned over, some might. But this is to see what's been uploaded, including the defendant, if he's been uploaded to CODIS. Data files, please provide all copies. This is all DNA. Please provide copies of all computer data files created in the course of performing the DNA testing. Some of those might be proprietary. I don't know how many of those need to be turned over. So that'll be interesting to see. Whatever, again, the government normally errs, or should, I have to say should, err on the side of turning over more than less. Statistical calculations, that's all going to be part of their reports anyway. What are the statistical calculations with regard to the DNA? Communications. That might not happen. Please provide a copy of all communications between laboratory personnel and any other party with regard to the biological testing. In this case, including letters, memos, emails, texts, records of phone conversations. Some of that's going to be outside the scope. Standard operating protocols for interpreting guidelines. For interpretation guidelines, that'll get turned over. Validation summaries. Please provide a copy of the validation summaries for internal validation. Laboratory personnel. Please provide background information for each personnel. Current resume, performance evaluation, and personnel file. A summary of proficiency test results. Some of this isn't going to get turned over. Some of it will. It just really depends. But current resume, if they're going to testify, they'll get it. I don't know if they're going to get it if people don't testify, but they're going to need the chain of custody. Unexpected results and corrective actions. Genetic genealogy testing search. All reports generated by any lab who conducted SMP testing. This is not SMP. We're not talking Minecraft servers. SNP. My kids watch, well, my youngest particularly watches a lot of YouTube. Though it seems like there is a YouTube drama going on between SMP servers. I don't know. I started seeing, as I told you, I have multiple different algorithms on YouTube that I am a part of. I don't know what algorithm I fell down that I started getting served drama between SMP servers, but I did. I was like, oh, Minecraft drama. Great. What's going on in the Minecraft world? All right. So all reports generated by any lab that include SMP testing. Copies of all communications between laboratory personnel. Not all of those communications are discoverable. All documents associated with the database search, including CODIS, NDIS, GED match, family tree DNA, or the felon databases, including sample databases. They're going to have searched all of those. All documents related to any genetic genealogy search. This is all going, this discovery request, particularly the genetic genealogy, is because, or it's been reported that the original DNA match between the knife sheath and the DNA on the knife sheath was matched by genetic DNA. It's suspected that that is his father's DNA from the trash that they collected outside his father's house in Pennsylvania. Once Kohberger was arrested, they're going to swab him for his own DNA and then run it against all of these things. And they are going to upload his profile to at least some of these databases because they have the one DNA profile, and they're just going to upload it. They're not going to keep running multiple DNA, right? They're just going to upload the profile and then test things against it. So they want to know where those are uploaded. But I'm not surprised they want so much information on the genetic genealogy to attack it or not, because some of that was included, if I'm remembering accurately, in the search warrant or in the search warrant affidavit, or in some of them. So that is the first one. Let's go. Where can I find the Minecraft tea for my teen? The first place I saw it was on Ludwig's channel, but I know there are others. So there's something going on between, I think, SnapNap and Dream. But again, I only saw headlines, so I'm not going to talk about it any more than that. I haven't had a chance to watch it yet. I'm like, what's going on with these servers? All right, let's look at the other motion to compel discovery and see what they're trying to get at, because there have been multiple motions at this point regarding discovery. State of Idaho versus Bryan Kohberger, motion to compel discovery. Comes now the defendant Kohberger. Let's see. They are asking the court to order the prosecution, to comply with defendant's first supplemental request for discovery filed February 3rd, 2023, and the second supplemental request for discovery filed March 24th. Some of this might not be timely yet. Mr. Kohberger requests an order for the state to disclose the following items included in the defendant's first supplemental request for discovery. Request number 43, all body cam and dash cam footage. Well, they should have that from officers involved in the search and arrest of Kohberger in Pennsylvania. They should have that. Is it Quackity? Quackity and Dream. Thank you. Not SnapNap. Oh God, I'm not trying to start. I'm not trying to start drama. It's Quackity and Dream. There we go. Thanks, chat. Look, man, the Minecraft creator that I liked following the most, y'all know, was Technoblade. So I apologize. I enjoyed watching Dream's face reveal. I was surprised by the internet's mixed reaction. But other than that, Technoblade was my favorite Minecraft creator. I also really like Captain Sparkles and have liked Captain Sparkles. Like, when we look at Minecraft gamers that I can be in the room with when my kids watch them and enjoy, and Preston Plays. Those are the top that I could like listen to Minecraft coverage of those streamers. But I love the parody songs that Captain Sparkles does. I think Jordan's a great creator. I really enjoy Preston Plays because my kids can watch it and he doesn't shriek. And I love Technoblade because Technoblade was entertaining as fuck and also didn't shriek. I can't watch shrieking YouTubers. I realize sometimes I'm a shrieking YouTuber. Elaine, turn on your mic. But I can't listen to that. Oh my God, that. I can't. The screaming, the Minecraft creators, I can't do it. All right. Back to serious things. As of May 4th, counsel for Kohberger has not received the requested materials. The prosecution should have this. I understand why they want it. Mr. Kohberger, thank you, chat, for I see all the Technoblade never dies. Exactly. Mr. Kohberger requests an order for the state to disclose the following items, including in the defendant's first supplemental request, all lab testing, including photographs and color diagrams of bench notes, including but not limited to copies of lab reports detailing the forensic evidence collected and analysis. That might not all be done yet. But this is going to the DNA, right? Analysis of items recovered at Bryan Kohberger's parents' home, trash cans and other receptacles at Bryan Kohberger's Hyundai Elantra. They want to know. I get it. As of May 4th, counsel for Kohberger has not received the requested materials. I imagine some of that's probably done. Mr. Kohberger requests an order from the state to disclose the following that was made in the first supplemental request: all lab testing, including photographs, color diagrams of the ISP and FBI forensic lab reports, including but not limited to lab reports 11 and 25. So they know the reports exist. They just haven't gotten them. All notes, recordings from all officers and Moscow Police Department as of May 4th, counsel has not received recordings and notes from the interrogation of Mr. Kohberger. Ah, that's interesting. So Kohberger, I'm sure this has already been discussed in the news because this thing was filed a few days ago and it would have been in the other discovery requests. But for me, we now have clarification that Kohberger was in fact interviewed. And that's interesting. So I'm sure that's been reported elsewhere. I just haven't seen it. So Kohberger was interrogated. Whether he said anything is different. But if Kohberger didn't say anything, are they worried about it as much? I don't know. Maybe they are. So recording and notes from the full interrogation of Kohberger. Well, they should have that. I agree. All police reports, audio, video evidence, and any recorded statements related to Bryan Kohberger's arrest and incarceration in Pennsylvania. They have not received the requested materials. So everything that happened in Pennsylvania, including the video from the search warrant and all of that, they want. Okay, great. Not received the requested materials on information and belief. Counsel believes those materials contain exculpatory evidence. Request number 161, all reports, notes, recordings, and photos. I mean, isn't that everything? Isn't that everything? Amy D in the chat said first time hearing he was interrogated, right? Okay, good. It's not just me. Did nobody report on this? Maybe I missed it. But it seems that he sure was questioned by police. That's news to me. I'm going to go back and look at request for discovery number 1. Let's see. Training records of, and then they listed specific officers in request number 160. I wonder if the first request was redacted. We're going to go look right now because now I'm dying of curiosity and we have time, so we're going to do it. Tony B said interrogation is not public. Oh, no, it's definitely not public, but the defense wants it. The fact that it happened is not public. The thing is, Cheryl M., the way this is written leads me to believe it went beyond the, can we talk to you? I want a lawyer. Because if that's what happened, can we talk to you? I want a lawyer, then they would have stopped and there wouldn't have been much interrogation. This leads me to believe there was more there than just a, I want a lawyer. You'd be surprised when in some cases people just aren't interrogated. They don't always. Dolly, this case is on my list. All right, let's go look at me. Emily, sit back up in your chair. Okay. Let's go look at, so the anti-dissemination order was working. I mean, yep. Let's go look at the, let's go see if we can find the first. Should we put back on research music? Yes. Background research music for all. I'm going to see if I can find the first discovery request. Because I think we can, if it's not all redacted to shit. When did they make that first discovery request? They said February 3rd. Okay, we've got a date. I told you I was a research attorney, right? Like, I'm like, ooh, I bet we can find this real quick. All right. February 3rd. Defendant's response to request for discovery. State's response to request for discovery. Amended non-dissemination order. But where's the request for discovery? Here, let's pull this one up. All right, we're just going through it. We're going through the discovery request. Let's see what else we find out. Let's go. All right, discovery requests come through today on more information about this case. Yay. All right. This one I didn't go through much because it was just a standard request for discovery. Statements of the defendant. Permit the defendant to inspect or copy any photograph, any relevant written record, any relevant written or recorded statements made by the defendant or copies thereof within the possession. And the reason I didn't go through this much is because this is just a standard request for discovery. It doesn't necessarily narrow down to what's happened in this case because it could be anything. Statements a co-defendant, we know there's not a co-defendant. So this was covered when it was initially made, but this is a like boilerplate request for discovery, which is why I was like, all of this is just like, this is all the shit you always ask for to cover all your bases, even things that don't necessarily exist. So this is the full discovery request from January. Fine. There's nothing much more helpful in that, but there is a prosecution response to the request for discovery, so we can learn more from that. All right. The state has complied and will continue to comply with such requests by providing the following: any relevant written or recorded statements made by the defendant or copies thereof. The state said this on January 23rd. It's May. And the defense is saying it still hasn't been turned over yet. So any relevant written or recorded statements made by the defendant or copies thereof within the possession, custody, and control of the state, the existence of which is known or is available to the prosecuting attorney, but by the exercise of due diligence, and also the substance of any relevant oral statement made by the defendant, whether before or after arrest, to a peace officer, prosecuting attorney, or prosecuting attorney's agent, have been or will be disclosed or otherwise made available. See Exhibit A. What's Exhibit A? Police reports and documents covered by IRC 16, which are in possession of the state, have been disclosed by counsel for defendant January 23rd, 2023. These materials consist of pages numbered 1 through 995, audio, video, photos. So, they've turned over 1,800 photos, and the defense is saying they still don't have everything. So how does the defense still not have everything? Any books, papers, documents, photographs, tangible objects, buildings, or places, or copies, or portions thereof, which are in possession, which are material for the preparation of the defense or intended to be used by the prosecutor at evidence at trial, or belonging to the defendant, have or will be disclosed. Well, all of this says have or will be disclosed. It seems that it hasn't been disclosed. Let's go look at the defense's objection, because the defense responded to that. Where am I? What date are we on? State's response. Defendant's response to request for discovery. Aren't we having fun going down the rabbit hole of why is the state like have or will been turned over? And the defense is like, we still don't have it yet. Yo, this is from January 30th. Hereby submits the following response to plaintiff's request for discovery. No. What? Did the state request discovery? Yes, maybe. There are no books, papers, documents, photographs, or copies, or portion thereof in the possession of the defendant. The defendant may use anything that's been disclosed by the state. There are no results or reports of physical exam. So there's nothing to be turned over to the state, is what the defense is saying. Okay. Let me see what our next most relevant document is, as we try to suss out why stuff hasn't been turned over, and if we see in any other motion confirmation that the defendant was in fact interrogated, versus the defendant saying, lawyer, me now. Oh crap, you scared me, Dr. B. Hi. You were just standing in the doorway. You can't just mouth words to me. I've got music in my ear and we're doing things. You're going to have to come here and say it loudly. No. You're home? Oh. Everything good? Thank you. My lip gloss is working it today. All right. I'm here for this music on loop. Dr. B says hello, law nerds. Where is the next defendant's first supplemental request for discovery? All right. I want to track this back now. Where is this all coming from that the state hasn't turned stuff over? Oh, gosh darn it. This is the supplemental request. This, the defendant is requesting discovery and inspection of all materials discoverable. Okay. Oh, this is the one that was redacted, outlined in the attached Exhibit A, and then Exhibit A was under seal. So that's why we didn't see that, because Exhibit A was under seal. Then the motions to appeal happened. Then where is the state's response to defendant's first supplemental request for discovery? Stipulation to unseal with redaction. Okay, no, we want to do the state's response. And the state's response is, let's make this bigger. Comes down to the state of Idaho responding. The state incorporates its January 23rd response as is fully set forth. At this point, the state has and will continue to provide discovery in accordance with the Idaho Criminal Rule 16. Some of the stuff might just not be timely yet, and that's why they're fighting over it. It's like, no, under the rules, we don't have to turn it over to you yet. Which, if you have it, you know, at some point, turn it over. You have to. But if there's timing, like this needs to be turned over X amount of time before prelim or X amount of time before that, we'll see. All right. Let's see what else we have on discovery. The state's like, yeah, we did what we're supposed to do. And there's got to be a second. There's got to be a second one in here somewhere, but it's going to get buried under all these orders to seal. Stipulated motion, defendant's second supplemental request for discovery. All right. We've now tracked it all the way back. Chat, thanks for hanging with me. Research attorneys, I appreciate you. Yay! Let's go. Let's see. Ugh. Please take notice. They're asking for stuff outlined as Exhibit B. Exhibit B is sealed. So this might really be the first time that we've seen that information, because everything else has been sealed. Because the second supplemental request for discovery, the entire request for discovery is sealed because it's that exhibit, which is frustrating. Order to seal, protective order, state's response, and the state's response is going to be, guess what the state's response is going to be. The state incorporates its January 23rd response that they have and will continue to provide all of the discovery available. So now the defense is like, no, fuck you. We're asking the court to force you to turn this stuff over. The court's going to have to put a ruling on the record with this at some point, because now we have that third supplemental request from discovery. And the third supplemental request from discovery is where we actually learn what they're seeking. So yes, as of May 3rd, this is new information to all of us that the defendant seemingly was interrogated and that information has not been turned over to the defense yet, according to the defense. Question, why are they sealed? Well, probably because they don't want the public to know what they're requesting in discovery, because these are more tailored responses for discovery, but this one wasn't sealed. This third one wasn't sealed. So it's like, hey, this is information that we now know. I just wanted to see if this was new information, and I appreciate that. And that's what's going on in Idaho. We should get to questions. We're going to leave the music, but we should get to questions. Are you ready? I have questions. You have questions. We have questions. We've got a bunch of super chats. We've covered a lot of information today. So let's back around and find out, shall we? Should we? And we're going to change to our questions music, I think. We're going to our Mallory lo-fi-ish background music, courtesy of StreamYard, because StreamYard is great. And we're going to fack around and find out. All right. You have questions. I have questions. We have questions. But we learned some new information today in the Idaho case. We learned that there is reports regarding the defendant's interrogation that have not been turned over to the defense. They're going to need that, I imagine. And I can see why they're asking the court to compel it. They also are really flustered about the DNA evidence and want that turned over as well. I have not seen, though I have seen media reports, I do not see anything in the record showing exactly which attorney has been added to Bryan Kohberger's team, because again, I see nothing on the publicly provided documents, and the court docket itself is sealed. So is the new attorney also a public defender or not? I don't know. There's no notice of appearance here. So we've got the motion to compel discovery we just went over. We've got the order that we went over last week, and then all the rest of this that we've gone over, but there's nothing about who the new attorney is. I've only seen media reports of it. So all of that being said, I'm going to get to your super chats and your questions, and we're going to go from there. Let me shift my screens around so I can see you a little bit better and stop, because right now I have it on my second screen. Now I have it on my first screen. So it feels like when I'm talking to you, I can actually, once we shift over screens, I can see you better. Oh, the hair is I am starting to see it. I am starting to see the spring fluffies. Ugh, back to flat irons. Back to flat irons. I love the humidity in the air for my skin. I don't love it as much for my hair. So could it be, could it be poot? Tracy, I've turned the music down. I'm not going to kill the music. I like the Q&A music, so it's hopefully not overpowering in the background, because we've turned it down low. But I've found it to be very fun. So could it be poot? No. There's music. It's just on gently in the background. So there is a light bed of music playing in the background. Here, I'll turn it up. This music. But I don't want it to be overpowering. So it is a coffee house ambiance, if you will, or at least I hope it is. That's the goal. And I love that StreamYard added this. It's a nice, like, hey, we've moved into Q&A. This is a different part of the stream. And my ADHD brain is happy. Couldn't hear it at all. Some of you can't hear it. I'm sorry. The VPR reunion is my Super Bowl. Agreed. And I'm very excited. My neighbor and I have already been talking about where we're getting together to watch not just the finale, but also the reunion. I'm very excited. Emily, are we working on a Law Nerd group project? And we have an important question. What is Fred and George's birthdays? Fred and George's birthdays are New Year's Day. They are New Year's Day kitties. So I was very surprised by that. When we adopted them in March, I was like, what's their birthday? It's like, actually, they were born on New Year's Day. I was like, that's delightful. New year, new kitties. Listening while I get ready for law school graduation. Congratulations. Bar prep starts Monday. That's the thing about finishing law school. It's like, I'm done with law school. Fuck. Thanks for helping me get through these 3 years. Cheers. I can't believe that some of you have been with me your entire law school career. I love that. It's been 3 years. Congratulations. And I'm glad to be here as you join the profession. Lacey said, my youngest goddaughter graduates tomorrow from high school. Can you give Logan a shout out? Logan!
Congratulations on graduating from high school. Ask lots of questions. Keep asking questions. And remember, you are only young once, so make good decisions. But sometimes it's okay to make questionable decisions if they're not going to impact the rest of your future negatively. So have fun. And remember, life is short. It should not be too stressful. Some things will be stressful. You will get past them.
You've got this. So to all the grads, that is my advice. Also, it's a time in your life where you get to make mistakes and make them again. Which movie is that from? Probably Twilight. Make sure that you get to travel and experience your life. Don't wish being young away too fast. You're at a time in your life where you can figure out who you are, what you like, and know that it will change. And who you are at 18, 19, 20 is not the same that you are at 25. It's not the same that you are at 35. We're supposed to grow. We're meant to grow. We're meant to change. We're meant to outgrow things. We're meant to find new things. Be safe. Always let a friend know where you are, and enjoy. Being young goes too fast. And I was like, okay, once I get through law school, then I'm going to get a job. And once I get a job, then we're going to buy a house. And once we buy a house, and then we're going to have kids. And then I'm like, oh, now I'm 45. Maybe I could have traveled more for sure. Wish I sure did. Sure wish I did. Sure wish I traveled more before my back hurt. Things I didn't think about when I was 19 years old is that, my body is going to hurt. So be safe. Have fun. Don't take things too seriously. You're going to grow and change. The job you want to get now is not going to be the same job, right? Thanks to you, EDB, in the chat. I am just finally caught up. All 10 seasons of VP are up to date. I'm addicted. You're welcome, and I'm sorry, Law Nerd Tina. You're welcome, and I am sorry. But I think, excuse me, I think a lot of us are all caught up before the trailer drops. Did the trailer drop for the finale? Has that happened yet? I appreciate all of you that didn't spoil it for me, but did it drop yet? Has it happened? Have these things happened? I don't know. I'll go look on social in a minute. I'm so glad I get to have a phone at work so I can catch up on the live stream. I was just diagnosed with ADHD and I work at a flower shop on Mother's Day week. That's a lot of executive functioning, Ray. Hang in there, and cheers to all the dopamine. Just I understand why you need to have your phone. Keep the dopamine coming. It's great. Thank you for all the work you do. Mothers love getting flowers on Mother's Day. I love getting video games on Mother's Day. So when I get Tears of the Kingdom, people are like, what are you doing for Mother's Day? I'm like, this is what I'm doing for Mother's Day. I fucking love brunch. I realize that I am basic on 700 levels of basic. I love brunch. So we are going to have brunch at home because I want to have brunch in my pajamas. I wanted to drink mimosas, and I want to play the Nintendo Switch on the couch with my kids. And that is what we are going to do on Mother's Day. That's what we're going to do. RL said, I want Jedi Survivor so bad. I do too. And we have been rearranging where our gaming stuff is. So tomorrow is going to be my day to finish rearranging all of the tech so that I can just decompress. So I love it. I absolutely love it. I love brunch. So we're having brunch at home because I also don't want to have to get out of my pajamas. I don't want to do that. I'll go do a fancy brunch some other time. Fancy brunch on Mother's Day. I've done fancy brunch on Mother's Day once because I was on a cruise for Mother's Day and it was delightful. But also, if I have the choice between deliciously brunch at my home because Dr. B makes the best bacon ever and having to get dressed up and going out in public for brunch, I am going to choose staying at home in my PJs with my family for brunch. Occasionally I'll go for a fancy brunch. There are a few of these restaurants, Big Bad Breakfast in the Nashville area. I've also been to the one in South Carolina, which I will be back to actually in just a few weeks. But they have the most delicious boozy coffee drink. And it's so good. So I'm really looking forward to that. So I am chilling on the boozy coffee drinks for brunch on Sunday and just going for the bubbly drinks because a champagne-y brunch is so much fun. I will get dressed up and go out to drag brunch, but drag brunch is a little bit different than a Mother's Day brunch. It's a little bit of a rowdier type of experience. So drag brunch is also a lot of fun. I will get dressed up and go do that because that is a blast, depending on where I am, if I'm traveling, and who the friend group that I am with, we will go do. You've got to be with people who can hold their day drinking to do drag brunch because booze factors heavily into that. So with all of that, cheers. All right. EDB, South Carolina is looking forward to your visit again. I'm looking forward to being there. And I think what I'll do is let y'all know. Oh, Stripes and Naps. I know Nashville has some good drag brunch options. I will let y'all know if we have the opportunity to just do hey, I'm going to be at this bar for the day, and let y'all switch by or come by and say hello. So I will keep you posted. I'll be there for Dave in a few weeks. Road less traveled. I can do this, I swear. AI created images is still a major boundary. A friend of mine took 40 seconds of my voice and can make me say anything. I don't sound robotic. My family and friends would be tricked. And your bank would be tricked, right? These are the things. Now even telling people what bank you're banking at is confusing because your bank can be fooled. So it is an issue. Look, when your bank is asking for security for things like your mother's maiden name, I would just hasten to suggest maybe you make one up if things like your mother's maiden name are available on the internet, that you start making these things up and coming up with safe words and safe answers that aren't the real ones, so that you know what they are, and let your family know, because if something happens to you, then this can create a huge lot of conversation. But security in banking and social media is going to have to change because AI technology growing allows hacking to grow as well. And that is concerning when people try to hack into DMs and social media and all the rest of it. So Sarah New said, as media consumers, we have to stop reading, viewing, clicking on invasive content. As long as it sells, it will be published. I agree. This is all money driven. And we're seeing it. I mean, there's definitely content that I could make that I won't and don't, but that is in a more sensational way. I don't want to make content in a more sensational way. Humorous, yes. I like making humorous content. I like making content that helps us understand, and sometimes we can have a giggle while we do it and laugh in the language of innuendo. But I don't want to make sensationalized content. It doesn't feel good to me. It's not the kind of content I like to consume, and I don't like sensationalizing the worst things that have happened to people. I don't like it. That's not what I want to lean into. But is it easier to grow in the world where your click-through rate on YouTube helps your videos do well? Yes. Am I going to do that? No, I don't want to. I am trying not to sensationalize things. If I think something's a big deal, I will tell you. But I'm not going to fake like, oh my God, Prince Harry's on trial. No, Prince Harry's on trial. Let's talk about it. And that's what I want the news to get back to. I want it to get back to fact reporting. I want it to stop playing on negative emotions to try to get click-throughs, but that truly doesn't work until we stop clicking through. And there's times I get caught in it too. I'm like, what? And then I have to catch myself and breathe and go, stop it. So I love our Law Nerd community the size that it is. I was talking to another creator who's just like, are you covering this topic? And I'm like, I'm not covering this topic. They're like, this is going to be a big topic on the platform. I said, I know it's going to be a big topic on the platform. I know that. I know the amount of views that I could garner, the amount of you that would be on a live stream if I was covering the last two trials that have gone on. But it's never been about that for me. A, those things are deeply triggering and hard. B, I'm still kind of traumatized from being at autopsies of children when I was a district attorney. And C, I have children that age. I can't and won't, because also me being on the internet crying and being like, this is fucking awful, is not helpful to anyone. And it doesn't feel good for me. But I know that that's a choice when I'm saying these are my boundaries. And I know that this community is here and they're like, that's okay. We'll cover the other stuff and we'll be back. And if you want to watch those trials and those streamings, I'm not going to tell you not to. Go ahead. Just make sure that you give yourself adequate boundaries, because I know how hard it is to unknow the things that you know in trials like that. But there's things I'm just not going to cover because A, there's either no use for me covering it, or B, it's not something I can cover in a way that brings help, that brings understanding, because I can't bring help and understanding when I'm mad and triggered, truly. So it was interesting having that conversation, being like, okay, so you're looking at this going, yes, there's a ton of views here, and you're not covering it. I'm like, yeah, because I don't want to, and I'm not going to. There's plenty of legal stuff going on right now that is so far in the political sphere that I just don't want to cover it, because even though we can talk about Prince Harry and Meghan, and I think we did well, mods will let me know afterwards. I think we did well in being able to talk about people who can be polarizing. I mean, we managed to talk about Britney Spears' father without losing all of our cool, even though we don't like James Spears. But there are some figures that are not just polarizing, but also in positions of power where things can be harmful, that are much more different to like put one and two aside. And I don't want to cover it. There's plenty of people that are going to cover it and plenty of content creators that will cover things ethically that you can go find. I just like letting you know where my boundaries are. And I think it helps to have those conversations with content creators too and saying, this is where my boundaries are. So it's not about views, it's about my community. And then I know there's also plenty of you that want to watch what I cover, and it becomes difficult to opt out if I'm covering it. And I know there's times when you're like, I want to be with you. I want to hear what you're talking about. I want to have a laugh with this community. I want to be in the chat, but this case is absolutely morally, emotionally devastating. So I take that into consideration too when I decide what to cover, because I know some of you will be like, this gives me a really, really difficult decision to make between wanting to watch your coverage and be with my community that I love and be in the chat with my community and this really, really triggering thing. And so there's a balance there that I always question, but the balance starts with me. And that's why when other people are covering things, I don't always share everyone in the world that's covering stuff unless I really know that creator and know that that creator is not going to hyper sensationalize something as awful as children being killed. And so when I say like, hey, you know, Natalie Lawyer Chick is breaking this down, Peter's breaking this down, it's because I know that the way that they cover content is going to not lean in to all of the horrible, sensational details. They're going to tell you the legal side of it and tell you the details that you know, and then tell you where to find more details if you need it, or if you want to know. Because there's some who are like, I do want to know more. I want to understand. That's fine. It's fine. And some people, it will not affect them the same way. But I know myself now. I didn't know myself. This turned into a whole different conversation. I didn't know myself well enough earlier in my career, and I did not have as many boundaries. And sometimes in my career, you can't have boundaries. I know this is true for lots of careers, where early in your career, you can't be like, excuse me, boss, I appreciate that you've given me this case, but this is fucking horrific. How am I going to sleep at night after seeing these crime scene photos? This will never leave my brain. Seriously, what the fuck? Can you let me go back to fraud cases, please? A, you can't really say that. B, I didn't know that I needed that until later. And then I learned later that there were some things that I could not and would not lean into. And that is why I have not covered particularly the two most high profile cases going on right now, because I literally can't. So, and I know that some of you are like, I want to know what's going on. I want to know what's going on, but also you can't unlearn things. You just can't unlearn things. You can't unlearn some of the things people do to each other, and you can't even understand them sometimes. And for me, especially when it comes to kids, A, I can't unlearn and understand, and being a parent is fucking scary enough. It really is. This is not an easy time. I don't think there's ever an easy time to be a parent, but this is the only time I've been through it, or at least the only time I've been through it that I remember. So it feels difficult to navigating schools and the internet and safety and personal safety and all of the rest of it feels hard. I can't get into even more how hard it is covering people who do the unthinkable to those that trusted them the most. So that's what it is for me. Jilly Bear, thank you for the work that you did. I'm going to pull up your comment real quick. I just have to grab it. I have two rolls of chat going so I can see them. I used to work for the Chicago coroner's office years ago, and I still have nightmares about at least 2 to 3 cases. Yep. There is stuff that you cannot get rid of. However, there's also housewives getting divorced, and that's where we're going next week if I can get my hands on documents. So when people are like, there are some that will shade me. None here. Y'all are lawnards, you know what it is. There were some that will shade me for covering pop culture. But I feel like we've learned so much covering pop culture without the emotional trauma of some of the heavier cases. And then y'all can pick and choose what else you cover, because we learn a lot about the law and about speech and corruption and privilege and the way laws are written by covering things that are not quite so triggering and polarizing. And I love it. I love it. So we also need a break. Murdaugh was heavy, y'all. We need a break. What I'm not going to ever do is go from a trial where somebody has killed their child to another trial where somebody has killed their child to another trial where somebody has killed their stepchild. I can't. Will I get into Sarah Boone? Maybe. Will I be covering Idaho? Yes. Will we be balancing it out with pop culture? Yes. Will any of those things be hyper sensationalized? No. No, because I don't want to do that kind of coverage. And I'm not going to. So if the channel never hits 1 million subscribers, it doesn't matter. We have 718,000 law nerds that give a shit and are compassionate and have really fun conversations and are kind with each other. It's amazing. I saw some of y'all on Twitter after I told you all that I was going to be taking some time. There will be more times of me like, hey, we're taking a break. It's birthday weekend. Hey, we're taking a break. It's Mother's Day weekend. I try to let you know where I'll be because I also don't want anyone to worry. It's like, I haven't seen Emily on social. It's like, yes, she's taking a break. But I saw somebody tweeting at me on Twitter and a number of you said, oh, Emily mentioned in her live stream that she's taking the weekend off for her birthday. And somebody else saying, hey, her email's public. You could probably just email her. Thank you. Thank you. Not only did I communicate my boundaries to you, but y'all are like, oh no, we're not expecting her to be around right now. Thank you for that. It's absolutely incredible. So having 718,000 passionate law nerds that also are like, we have boundaries and we're hydrated, is exactly what I want. Y'all are the best. That's why I do this. It's why I like streaming so much. It's why it's hard for me to keep my streams shorter. Bedazzled Life says, I think consuming works to some degree. We are consuming them. And the level of gluttony and insatiable desire to know is where we are now. Yeah, it's true. Consuming media sometimes feels that way because we do take it in, right? We do take it in. We take in sometimes the things that we read, and then sometimes we doom scroll. Teresa B, first of all, that photo of hair looks incredible. I got facts this morning. My 6-year-old 8 self loves you, Emily, in the most appropriate way. It's okay if you love me in some inappropriate ways too. Law nerds, I know what you mean. Worked with Aldi's marketing folks. They are amazing. Lauren, that's incredible. The Aldi marketing team is on point. Thank you. Love you too. Attention, great whiskey alert. Dough ball cookie dough whiskey. You have to get some. It's awesome. I have some in my cabinet. I will try it. I will try it and I will probably mix it with the peanut butter. I've been enjoying mixing the peanut butter whiskey with things. Dinkles, hello, Emily. Just wanted to say thank you for your streams. You're welcome. Going through a hard time right now and your content keeps me sane. You are welcome. The law nerds are here for you. I am here for you. Thanks for being a safe space for so many people. Love from Germany. Love to you in Germany. Germany's on my list. I need to do like 2 months abroad and just come see everything. Kyla said, about to get a root canal. Good luck. We'll be listening to this live to get through it. Hopefully you haven't laughed too hard. Hopefully you are nice and numb. It will be good. Spicy brain interlude. Well, logically, I know your background has a cat plush with a hollow taco box behind. However, I still see it as Nefertiti bust looking towards the clear box of something. Huh. I'm here for it. Wait, this way. So there is a duck, a unicorn, a box, and then these are color coordinated pens. But I'm here for how your brain sees it. I love it. I'm going to be adding some stuff back here soon. Nome, Alaska is my choice for zombie apocalypse. Angie, I love you. Law nerds, if you ever want to join Angie in the zombie apocalypse, Nome, Alaska. I think this was my absolute favorite conversation I've heard on this channel. Zombies are my jam. Wait, yum as in like you're making jam of zombies? Wait, I'm confused. Just had an extraction and I'm listening a bit high right now. Annette. Happy recovery. EDB, we totally need a whole video where you and the law nerds do a zombie apocalypse plan. Okay, we will. We will do a zombie apocalypse plan, but it sounds like you guys handled it. It's great. How did parents know to contact Singer, the go-between? He advertised his services as like a like high-end college admission strategist or whatever. And probably some of it was word of mouth. I don't know if they can prove that though. Peggy said you were featured on Twitter last night. Oh God. While Depp was trending. Why was Depp trending yesterday? Because it's been like a year. Many clips of your trial coverage. I hope the nice things were do you see why I'm a terrible YouTuber? It's like you were featured on Twitter last night. No, please no. But you're saying it was a good way. Plus other YouTubers, but mostly you. Lots asking who you were and where to find you. I gave them the info. Hello to everyone who missed me covering Depp v. Heard and is finding me second time around because that was a year ago. Hi, that's what we do here. Amanda said they're skating around legalities knowing their grandkids are about to be seniors in high school and they'll need a solid. It felt that way, Amanda. The First Circuit felt that way. I'm going to put that on my list. I'm going to need to read that whole opinion because I got questions. Call Me Al said, okay, so they said the quiet class is in part out loud and it's shit like that should be unethical and illegal. Actual athletes and actual meritorious students lose out because of this shit. They said the quiet part out loud. Could the victims of the USC scandal be a class action by all the students that didn't get in that year? I think it could be difficult. To prove that they would have gotten in because admissions are so competitive. I think it could be hard. Sophie, hello. I'm in the UK, and the way Harry and Meghan and Diana were treated by the media is abhorrent. I don't think that should be controversial. It seems like that's just the facts that it has been kind of abhorrent. Changing systems is hard, right? So some that are like, oh, well, this is the way it's always been and others have survived it, so they have to survive it. It goes back to like hazing, right? We talked about hazing with cheer. It's like, well, you know, the people who had been hazed that are then doing the hazing is like, well, we all survived it, so you survive it. This is just the way it is. But if this is just the way it is the thing, then these systems never changed. Kind of like the Hunger Games. Remember, sorry for spoilers, it's old. But at the end of the Hunger Games, when Coin is turning around being like, okay, but hear me out. Let's do one more Hunger Games. But instead of it being like our kids in the Hunger Games, we're going to make it their kids in the Hunger Games, right? Right? We're going for just pure retribution. We're not really changing the system. The system is the same. Who's in power has changed, but the system remains the same. And it's still abhorrent. And I feel like some of that is where we're at with like, but it's always been this way and other people have survived. Why are they whining about it? The media shouldn't be hacking into people's fucking phones ever. My Bachelor of Science is in geography. Geography is the study of the way things are, the way things were. Wait, and why they are where they are. Can mix it with any discipline. Economics, military, culture, trucking, physical, regional. Very cool. See, now I want to know more about geography. I always thought it was just maps. Back to books for a second. Highly recommend Just Mercy. Better than the movie, even though it was great. And The Sun Does Shine. Thank you we're always here for the book recommendations. Marlena said he's speaking his truth from POV of growing up an indentured servant. We have no right to discredit his own personal experiences. Here for the truth said in Mexico, we go with the last two names. After years and years of roll call attendance, I still remember hundreds of my classmates' full maiden names. Yes. And often I love getting, so you know who both of your families are. It was interesting in South Carolina being like, oh, who are your people? If we just had everybody's name be two, you would know exactly who people's people are. Thanks for making these topics accessible and educating amateur law nerds like myself. Next, Starbies on me. Well, thank you very much for the super chat. I need to go to Starbies tomorrow. Here for the truth. Thank you so much. I'm sure. I love the dual last names. Texas Katie said the hacking was in a hidden report that just came out about a year ago, so victims didn't know. They first got caught by listening to the voicemail of a 13-year-old murder victim, which is fucking abhorrent. Not charged the hacking Megan's phone and accessed her social security number. Def listen to spare. Okay. I've seen lots of this, lots of listening to spare. I need therapy for Tampon Gate now. Candy Mom, I'm sorry. What you're missing is Harry was a part of W's settlement talks and chose to go with another lawyer because he thought it wasn't going fast enough. H could have had a payout too, but was too impatient. I mean, okay. He gets to make that choice. And also he might not want to settle. He might really just want this public. And that's, again, his choice. He might want to. Thank you guys for the super chats and the input coming from the UK and elsewhere. Thanks, Emily. I feel for Diana as she would have never wanted her boys to be this distant. Appreciate your fun coverage. Thank you very much. I think sometimes bringing this stuff out into the light is going to be better. Christine said, do we consider the public's willingness to consume news gained from illegal, unethical means? I think so. If this crap doesn't sell, would the media still do it? Probably not. Or do we consume it because the media presents it? Maybe. And I think these are the questions we need to ask. How do they know that? Where did this come from? And then call it out. Where did this come from? So are we reading reverse harem? Because I have thoughts. Medicated moment on the members only. You will see. Here, I'll just show you what we read. All right. Sneak peek. We read multiple books. But this is one that we ended the night with about swing sets, but not really. That's what we ended the members only live stream with. How long can the prosecution withhold discovery from the defense? I need to look at the rule in Idaho and see what the timing is in the rule. They shouldn't be withholding. It shouldn't be withheld. The prosecution says they've turned over what they have. But they should be turning over what they have as they get it. It is an ongoing discovery, so they should get it. But I need to also look at the Idaho rules and their discovery. I'm sure that Andrea Burkhardt has covered it. She practices up in that area. Don Dixon said, oh my God, I thought I was being petty for holding grudges from childhood. Glad I'm not alone. I'm trying to not hold the grudge, but just remember, right? And the ones that added me on Facebook but wouldn't look at me in school. There's a lot of that, right? Lip color pencil recommendations from Gerard Cosmetics. Okay. I've got you some recommendations. And for those of you waiting for new things, you have to be on lawandordalert.com if you want to know the things. Members already know the things. But if you want to know the things, you can become a member. I mean, that's an option too. But the free way is lawandordalert.com. You will be looped in before the general public. I should leave that up. Wait. This one. Where is it? That. Professionals here. We're professionals here. Let me give you a few. I'm actually pulling them up so I make sure that I get names right because I don't want to embarrass myself by not getting names right because I have all my favorites in one little place and I just grab them. Pencils that I love that will be back in stock soon are Share. Share is out of stock currently. Second is Bel Air, but you have to remember I am very fair and I tend to go for pinky pencils. Melrose Place and Sugar and Spice have kind of a 90s vibe that I absolutely love. Red Brick Road is a very good red. I don't wear red a ton, but the lip pencils are not drying and they stay put. So really, you're not going to go wrong with any of the ones that are in stock. Sugar and Spice is kind of brownie. Bel Air is really nice on me. It's one I wear almost all the time. And Melrose Place has for me, it's almost a natural, not natural. It's got a little deeper, richer pink to it. So it just depends. But on their website, you can also see the swatches on the models and on some different options. So, and different skin tones. So you can kind of take a look and see how you might like it. So I am just like nude fair. It's just like, it makes it hard. Sometimes it is not. I am just a unmelanated fair human. It is pale. I'm pale AF. Has the pickle been named yet? No. I keep forgetting to put up the poll, but I will. And you will see it. I will put it up. I sent you a portrait of Fred and George a month ago. I noticed it made it. Have you gotten it? I have a stack of things to open, so I am sure that I have it. I just haven't opened it. Just me, Nicole, I'm sure that I have it. So when we go to the PO box, I get things. I just have not had a chance to open everything. So I will see. Wintry Witch. What? Star Wars mugs at Starbucks? Okay, first of all, the licensing crossovers have gotten out of control. Someone tell me when this is happening. I need to know all the things. Dotella said, tip from a previous banker, don't use the actual answer to the question. Also, update of the LOZ tattoo. Question, picking something from each game. Thank you. So, picking something from each game I like. The chat, I mean, I think we talked about a Triforce. Let us know if a Triforce is in there. Jessica said, my daughters are 8 and 11. I totally get it. Murder cases involving children make me physically ill. That's why I communicate with you how I make decisions, because hopefully it encourages you to make decisions. Right? Do you know you may have a part in the next TOTC? Ask Rob. I didn't know that, but okay. I'm here for it. Nefertiti said, I did IT support for a law firm back in the day, and I was helping to get a video to play. I got it to play and was scared by video of someone getting hit by a car and launched into the air. I gasped. They should have told you what the video was of. I've seen a lot of really awful videos. Funny enough, the audio sometimes stuck with me more when I couldn't sleep than the video. The audio I couldn't unhear. And that is the same with the audio from the Brooks case of, yeah, I'm not going to get into that anymore. Terry Summerfield said, another case to consider is the wife whose husband died and she wrote a book about it. It's on my list. It's on my list. I'm going to wait and see if there's an arrest before I get into it, but it's on my list. Can you briefly walk us through the steps of trial from investigation to the end? Jason, this is a fantastic question. Thank you for asking. Hopefully I'm not answering it too late. Okay. You have a thing that happens, and then sometimes you have an investigation, sometimes you have an immediate arrest. It kind of depends on what happens and how that goes down. Then you can have, well, there's 3 parts. Okay. A thing happens that is a crime. We're going with trial. We're going with criminal trials because you said investigation. So I'm walking through the criminal process. A thing happens that is suspected to be a crime. Then it will be either investigated, it will go to a grand jury after the investigation, or an immediate arrest will be made and a very fast investigation will ensue because like somebody saw the thing happen when it happened and they immediately got arrested. From there, if you have a grand jury, the person will get indicted, the indictment will get unsealed, and they will get arrested, and then they will go through the process of trial. If you are just investigating, they will investigate it, and then they will either send it out for a warrant to arrest somebody, they will go pick up somebody and arrest them, or they will cite them into court depending on what the crime is, being like, hey, you're being charged with a DUI, come to court on this day. If they are arrested, the investigation will go very, very quickly, and they will have their speedy trial clock start and need to go to preliminary hearing or grand jury and be indicted within the time frame. Normally, if they are arrested contemporaneously and not released, kept in custody, it will go to preliminary hearing within 10 days. They will be arraigned generally within 48 hours, depending on the jurisdiction, but the arraignment will be you're being charged with these things. Additional crimes can be added after that, and that's a longer conversation. So generally, a thing happens, an investigation, an arrest, or indictment happens, then the process starts to trial, discovery, ongoing investigation, and what have you. Then there will either be a conviction or an acquittal if it goes to trial. Somewhere in there can be a plea deal. There's lots of opportunities for plea deals within all of that. Normally at arraignment, depending on, well, I can't say normally, depending on the jurisdiction, my jurisdiction would offer most cases a deal at arraignment. It's like, hey, you don't have much of a record. This is what you're charged with. This is what the normal offer is. This is the offer. You can do this, probation, fine, whatever it is. And for more serious crimes, that generally doesn't happen. So offer at arraignment, there is often an offer pre-preliminary hearing, post-preliminary hearing, and then before trial. But that very much varies by jurisdiction and by severity of the crime and by the person's own criminal record. But that's generally the process. A thing happens, an investigation happens, there is an arraignment, there is a preliminary probable cause determination, either by grand jury or preliminary hearing, then it moves forward to trial. Hopefully that's helpful in the kind of order of things. There's constitutional time limits for those things, but those can be waived. Any update on Toddy? I'm sure there is. I have not looked. I need to do another whole update episode. We have lots to update. So with all of this, I missed zombie survival talk. I'm sorry. I tangented early today. Peggy asked, how is it decided to grand jury or not? That can decide on the crime or the jurisdiction. So like the feds grand jury 99% of the time because the grand jury is a secret proceeding. The defense attorney is not there. The defendant's not arrested yet. They get to see if there's any additional investigation that needs to be done. And often the feds are pretty much ready to go to trial by the time they arrest someone, unless something like the FTX case breaks and it's like, this is all breaking and we're worried this person is going to run and we need to try to arrest them and bring them into the States before, then those grand jury proceedings can happen after they're in custody. But oftentimes they will grand jury it before they'll even go arrest somebody. So the feds do that kind of as a matter of course. In other jurisdictions, it really depends on the prosecutorial agency and the jurisdiction. So you might get a state attorney's office or the, attorney general's office, like in South Carolina. The attorney general's office seems to grand jury everything. But then the local prosecutors might do preliminary hearings and not have as much access to a grand jury or the funds to bring a grand jury, because some preliminary hearings, like a preliminary hearing on a distribution of a narcotics case, could take 20 minutes to do, where setting up a grand jury on a case like that can take weeks and weeks and quite a lot of resources. And the office is like, no, we're not grand jurying this case. There's no reason. It is this. So it just really depends on the nature of the case, the sensitivity of the case, the whether or not, so some of this is strategic, whether or not you have live witnesses that you want to see how they resonate with the grand jury, et cetera, et cetera. So some of those are strategic, some of those are funding, and some of those are just, it's a federal case, so they're going to do a grand jury. Stardust, congratulations on your incredible 4-mile run. I have been doing a walking coverage or 30-day walk challenge. I was sore the other day. I do not run, but I was sore the other day. I was like, whew, Emily, we have been sitting way too much. Keep moving. Keep moving. It's been really fun. So, am I going to cover the George Santos stuff? Probably not. I'm keeping an eye on it, but I really don't tend to cover politicians. Even when it comes to political corruption. When I cover corruption, I tend to cover lawyers. So probably not. Am I going to keep an eye on it? Yes. Am I going to cover it? No. Doesn't really fall into the realm of pop culture. And I don't like covering politics. And then but if you cover this, did you cover that? Also, I don't ever want people to find our community from coverage of politics and be like, why are you talking about Housewives and Vanderpump Rules? Oh, right, because that's what I do here. So, no, probably not. Will I be covering the new Masterson trial? I will be taking a look at what's going on with the new Masterson trial and doing coverage like I did on the last one, kind of giving updates along the way in quick bits. I know there's some stuff going on that's different from the last trial with regard to discovery being disclosed. That I'm very interested in and we'll probably cover next week if I don't cover it on the podcast for next week. So I am keeping an eye on it. So that, but with the politics, I will be keeping an eye, but I don't cover political stuff. I just don't. And even some things that would be pop culture that involve political figures because they can cross over, I'm still not. Can you always cover chocolate caterpillar cake court cases? Yes. I would love to be the official channel of Food Court. That's what I want to do all the time. I fucking love Food Court. We'll be doing Food Court enough. Are you caught up on VPR? Yes. Scandival is the gift that keeps on giving. I mean, except for the parties involved, yes. But the audacity of has the trailer dropped yet? Hold on. I need to go to social. Has the trailer dropped yet? Has it? I need to know. Wait, let's go to Instagram. Where's Bravo on? 24 minutes ago. Chat? I need a minute. I am unwell. Hold on. I'm going to share my screen. Where's my screen sharing? We're watching this together. And then we're going to go. This is the end of I Have Questions. I'm going to swoop in a second. Let me turn off my amazing StreamYard music. I still need to get Eric Bland and his law firm to use StreamYard so they can co-stream on YouTube and on Facebook, so we don't have to go to Facebook for their coverage. Okay, hold on. I'm watching the trailer. Y'all, it's legally related, I swear. Here's why it's legal. Let me explain. Let me explain why it's legally related. Because they had to film the reunion while there was a temporary restraining order between Rachel and Sheena. Legal. So they had to have two completely different setups because Rachel couldn't be there when Sheena was there. Right? Because there was you have to get a TRO in court. We're going to watch it. All right, I'm going to Andy Cohen's Instagram, and we're going to watch this trailer together and give some commentary because we are. So let's swoop. We're going to do this, and then I'm going to say goodbye. But I have to watch it now. I have to watch it now. I have to know. I want to know. Wait, I don't have sound. Oh, pause. I don't have sound. Okay. Outfits. Let's see. I don't need all the comments. I need... It's all been leading to this. The explosive 3-part Pump Rules reunion begins May 24th. Oh, fantastic. All right. Let's see. This is our first seating setup. And we've got, of course, Andy and VPR in the middle. We have the most incredible dress I have ever seen. Oh, wait. Let me take this banner down. And Katie, I love that Katie... Did you ever think we'd see Katie sitting next to James at a reunion? And then Lala at the end. I never. And then we've got Sandoval looking like he's been kicked appropriately. Schwartzy sitting almost exactly the same way. And Raquel sitting on the end wearing a t-shirt. All right. Let's continue.
And to a
Hold on. Oh, I can't restart.
Full relationship between the two of you.
Damn it. I need to refresh. We didn't have audio. We still don't have audio. I might have to start over. Okay.
And to a full relationship between the two of you.
Oh my God. The dramatic music. The dramatic music. I'm dying. I'm absolutely dying. This is like a movie trailer. Duh. This fall, they came to save the galaxy from terrible ratings. All right. God. This is going to be so interesting. In a different dress. Yep. Absolutely in a different dress. Maybe it was before. I'm ready. I'm gripped. I'm gripped. I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm absolutely ready. I'm ready for this reunion. I'm going to keep talking about it. Look, if there had never been a TRO, well, actually, Up and Adam would have dragged me into this show one way or the other. It's so funny because when I went to BravoCon, and then we're going to wrap it like 3 hours for a short stream today because I have meetings. When I was at BravoCon, we were talking to Tom Sandoval because I guess he has like a bourbon or a whiskey or something. And so we were talking to Tom in his booth. Adam, if you guys watch Up and Adam, you know that he worked at Pump with Jason. They know the cast and the rest of it. But we were talking to Tom. I'm like, okay, wait. As we were leaving, I'm like, who is that again? He's like, Tom Sandoval. He's one of the Toms. They own Tom, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, okay, good. So every time we ran across people from Vanderpump, I'm like, remind me who this is again. He was like, this is so-and-so. I'm like, okay. So now when I go to BravoCon, I'm going to be like, okay, I want to know everything. Now I actually know who people are. I'm very excited for BravoCon this year because now I feel like I'm up to date. This is going to be the biggest thing going on at BravoCon. So chat, I've got to go eat lunch. This trailer is great. We've now officially been demonetized. VPR reunion watch party on a live. I don't know I don't know how to do that. Maybe I don't know how to do that. Maybe I will live share my thoughts somewhere. I don't know. Let me see. Please ask to be the bartender. I will. Emily will be fully advised and informed for BravoCon. I feel like I'm ready this year. I don't think I was ready last year. Last year I was ready with my housewife knowledge, but I was not ready with my other Bravo properties knowledge. Now I feel like ready. I think I was most excited to get to chat with the Manzo boys at BravoCon. That was one of my, and drinking champagne. Yeah, and drinking champagne with Fancy Pants. Like those are my two, and getting to run around with Adam and meet other content creators and meet all of you. But when it comes to like Bravo cast, meeting the Manzo boys and getting to drink champagne with Heather Dubrow. Oh, and getting to see Emily Simpson in person. We had a really nice chat. There were a lot of top moments. Champs with Fancy Pants is something that I never thought would actually happen. But getting to run around with Adam was a lot of fun. We must have an after party after the reunion. Okay, maybe that. Have tickets gone on sale yet? No. How was meeting Caroline Stansberry? She's amazing. Caroline Stansberry's amazing. She's a lot of fun. She and I had a great time. I knew that she was friends with Adam, so I knew I was going to meet her. The party that Jen crashed was good too. BravoCon was fucking epic. I'm really looking forward to going back. I need a new wardrobe. I bought a new purse for BravoCon. At some point, I'll share that with the members. My husband's like, why this? And I'm like, BravoCon. And he's like, okay, that's a choice. I'm like, oh, I'm dying. All right, Law Nerds, for all of my glorious Bravo obsessed Law Nerds, I will see you soon. I am unwell. I'm going to go watch this again. I'm going to go look. What I'm going to go do is dive down the internet rabbit hole of what everybody else has to say about this trailer. I cannot wait to see what the cast has to say. I'm so invested. And it's so interesting in the world of reality TV now that the cast all has like podcasts, so you can hear their thoughts kind of contemporaneously. I'm ready. I'm ready for all of it. So with that, thank you for being here. Thank you for being Law Nerds. I'm going to be offline the rest of the weekend. Because it is Mother's Day. I hope you all have a good Mother's Day. I know Mother's Day can be difficult, just depending, especially for those of you that have lost mothers. Those of you that have lost kiddos, it can be a day that is not always a happy one. So I hope that you have a good Mother's Day, even if it is a difficult one, and honoring that. So thank you all. I mean, we all have mothers. Don't forget. Most mothers just want simple things. Hello. Brunch. Zelda. Me, that's just me. Emily, you're the one who's the most basic. I don't know. Find your Mama Stanley mug. She'll love it, I promise. And with all of that, everyone have a good weekend. Take care. So I will be offline. What am I doing tomorrow? I have fun plans tomorrow. I'm reorganizing all of our upstairs tech to get ready for a weekend of gaming. And then I'm going to start playing Zelda. That's what I'm going to do. I need to go charge my Switch. It's supposed to be right here, but it's not because I was playing Breath of the Wild. I still need to beat Ganon, but I haven't played in a while. So now I'm like, oh, my game mechanics are off. So all of you have a wonderful weekend. I will see you on Monday with a new episode of Quick Bits. If you haven't watched last week's episode, go show it some love. It's on my Quick Bits channel. If you want to stay in the loop with everything that's coming and know things before things happen on Monday, you need to be on Law Nerds Alert. Now is the time. If you have been waiting for Law Nerds Alert, now is the time, because you're going to get information this weekend before it is available to the public. Go to lawnerdsalert.com, and I will see you. On Tuesday for a live stream. Members, I will probably be recording the podcast on Monday. I will keep you in the loop in the member spaces when I am recording, so that you can hop in to the behind the scenes recording with all of that. It is now officially time to go. It's really time to go. This is the longest Midwestern goodbye ever. Okay, bye. You can find all the Law Nerd goodies at lawnerdshop.com. Connect with me on social media at the Emily D. Baker. And don't forget to check out my podcasts, The Emily Show, and the new podcast, Quick Bits, summarizing everything I talk about on my Tuesday and Thursday live streams. You know, when you only have time for just the quick bits.